I'm your host, Simply Nicholas 87, and my co-host Ty H and D Ron 2000. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, world?
Hey, happy Wednesday, happy hump day.
Happy
Glad to
hump
be
day.
amongst you all.
Salutes to everybody out there, man. For all the new people out there that hadn't subscribed to the channel, y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and also hit the share button to share this content, man. Hit the notification bell to let you know when we're going live about the content, man. Um, we up here tonight. This is an open discussion. As y'all see, the link is in the chat. So if anybody wants to come up and speak while we're talking about the situation that we're talking about tonight, you're more than welcome to. I will see you in the bottom and I will let you in. And you can give your thoughts and opinions on what's going on with the situation. So last week we did touch bases on this topic about the whole James Borregos situation and what was going to happen. And lo and behold, maybe a day after we talked, matter of fact, it was a day after we talked about it, it actually happened. The situation of him being released by the Hornets after what 4 seasons, I think.
Yep, 4 seasons.
4 seasons that are with a record
Shout
of
out to Greensboro, 4 seasons.
4 seasons with a record of I think it was 138 and 163. I think that's what his record was.
Anyway, a lot more losses than wins, whatever it is.
Yeah, a lot of more losses
Below
than wins.
500.
Nope.
Well below 500.
Yep, and I think each time he was fourth in the division. Well, y'all the division. I can't think which division y'all in.
Southeast Division.
Okay, it was fourth each time y'all. Each year was fourth place in that division. So, I think the Hornets took another direction and changed. Don't know who the coach, the future coach, or what the future holds for the organization. But I want to get you guys' take on it since we didn't. We just talked about it, but pre-initially happening, but it actually happened. But what is your thoughts on it?
I thought he got what he deserved. I thought it was the right move. Kudos to Michael Jordan and Mitch Kupchak for having the guts to make the move. When it comes to James Borrego, there are different schools of thought. The common school of thought that I'm seeing in the local media and from a lot of pro Borrego fans, the argument that's being made, which is a legit argument, is that the win total improvement each year. The win total got higher each year. From the first year, however many he won, I know the second year I think won 23 games. That was after you got rid of Kemba Walker. Then the next year in a 72 game season, you won 33 games. So that's an increase of 10 games. And this year in a regular 82 game schedule, you won 43 games. On the surface, that is good progress. Right. However, I think the argument could be made that it's still underachieved. If you look at the level of talent you have right now, you have LaMelo Ball, All-Star. You have Miles Bridges, who's on the verge of being an All-Star, playing at borderline All-Star level. You have Terry Rozier, 16, 17 points a game. Gordon Hayward averaged 16 points a game before he got injured. So you had roughly 3-4 guys averaging over 15 points a game, with 3 of them averaging over 17 or 18 a game for the season. So you can't say, when people talk about the roster, a flawed roster, you're getting production from the talent that you have on the roster. Right. We had, I think, 7 or 8 guys average double figures. I think 7. So you're getting production. The problem is the team is poor defensively, very poor defensively. That's why they blew so many leads. That's why the leads evaporated so quickly, and that's why they would lose games sometimes at home to bad teams, like when you have a clunker at home to Orlando Magic. There were teams that were so bad defensively because they're a team that was built that relied so heavily on the three-point shot. When their shot wasn't falling, they fell apart because they couldn't win games with their defense. They couldn't win the gritty, grinded out games. There was a lack of toughness. All of that is a reflection of the head coach. Furthermore, his rotations were unorthodox and poor. Like we spoke on last week, you had a game where Montrezl Harrell didn't enter the game at all, did not play coach's decision. And the explanation was where we were trying to play small ball. Montrezl Harrell's a 6'7" center, so he's a small ball big. So that's poor logic. You have games where LaMelo Ball could be white hot shooting from the field, and then he'll pull him out the game and sit him on the bench a long time. Same thing with Bridges is hot. That makes it just to put in Cody Martin. Nothing against Cody Martin. I think he's a competitive defender. But when your star player is going, you don't pull him out to put in a role player who's not scoring. Those are the type things where I say you underachieve. You got to, and I'm going to let you talk, but one last point I want to make.
Mm-hmm.
Each season of the last 2 seasons had a second half collapse when you were in playoff position and throughout the season. Last year, you were within the top 6 or so in playoff positioning last year, and late in the season, I know injuries were part of it, but everyone dealt with injuries. John Morant missed 25 games, and the Memphis Grizzlies went 20-5 while he was out, and he was their best player. That's something I don't want to hear about because everyone has to deal with that. Now back to the point at hand. You fell apart and ended up going 4 games below 500, still in the play-in, and then get blown out in the play-in. Fast forward this year, through 50 games, you're 28-22, I think 6th or 7th
What's up,
in
man?
the East. From that point on, you go on a 7-game losing streak, end up losing like 8 out of 9. And the last 32 games, if you were 28-22, that means the last 32 games, you only won 43. So 28, 43, that's 15 wins. And you had 22 losses, and you ended up with 39 losses. So that's 15-17 in the last 32. You fell apart the back half of the season and got blown out in the play-in again. That's a direct reflection of the head coach not being able to finish, not being able to motivate his team. So, yes, he deserved to be fired.
D?
Yeah, pretty much what T said. I think the level of coaching was exemplified by how he handled the situation. You just can't, as a 4th-year coach, there's no way they should have been playing at that level at the second half. Discipline is the issue that he could not deal with when it came to defense. And that, I'm gonna take it furthermore. I think he lost the locker room. To be honest with you, I really do. I think they lost confidence in him because the way how he handles situations is. I mean, I look more deep in the sense of how he didn't really back some of the plays. Defensive plays like Miles could just like the same thing as the Miles getting thrown out of the game thing. Like he just doesn't, to me, handle the situation appropriately as he should when it comes down to a point of how the team starts to have that downfall, that pitfall where, just like you said, they lose a lead or they start, complaining to the refs or whatnot.
He said Russell Westbrook and James Charles problems. Seeing LaMelo to LA. Hey,
he joking. He joking and being funny, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I take LaMelo. Listen.
No, he ain't going nowhere. And I think
I know he ain't going nowhere, but I
think that's why Jordan did what he had to do in Cup Check. They did it because they know if he keep Borrego in that position,
LaMelo leave.
He'll leave. He's going to stunt the growth of what he has now for his young players. Just like you said, there's no way with that talent they had on the team this year, they should have been in that predicament, even with not even your star player going out, really more so a role player going out for the amount of games that he did. There's no way that team should have tailed off. And the style they played, actually, to me, they should have sped up quicker because they're a whole lot quicker team without Gordon Hayward. So,
yeah,
not using Plumlee as your main force as a center, where you eventually get a guy that can play what you always wanted to play, which was a small ball, but didn't utilize him correctly, even to a degree where he probably should have been starting more so than coming off the bench. Is it just like I said, it shows the type of coach he had, was with the Hornets. Just not handling it, like I said, the situation like it should be. I mean, we're fans, and we basically are calling out things that he should have known as a coach not to do when it comes to rotation, how to not take your players out when they're in a good,
a rhythm. Yeah,
and it's ludicrous, man. Like to me, him getting fired, I'm not shocked. I knew it was coming, but I just didn't know how they were going to prepare for it. And I mean, yes, I was a little shocked that they did fire him. I thought maybe would have been more so after this year if he would have tanked again or didn't fail. But I know people say, "Oh, Jordan still can't get it right." No, I think he actually got it right.
He got it right this time.
Yeah.
I think he actually got it right this time when it comes to owner and kind of the chairman of the situation. I mean, just because he plateaued as a coach for the Hornets. Yeah, they grow, like the people say, with the record, but did that defense improve any of those years?
Debo said Jay Wright from Villanova might be a good look at the head coach of Charlotte.
I don't want a
Possibly.
college coach. I want someone who's already has NBA head coaching experience, who has a winning record, who's proven they can win at the NBA level. I'm not necessarily talking about someone even who's won a championship, but someone who's proven they can win, can have a guy who's consistently put teams in the playoffs, who's coached in the NBA before, as a head coach. I don't want somebody who's an assistant on somebody's staff. We've done our last 3 hires have been former assistants. Mm-hmm. Same issue with Charlotte 49ers. They got to get the next head coach they get after they eventually fire Ron Sanchez needs to be someone who has head coach experience. But anyway, back to the point. They need to get someone who has successful NBA head coaching experience. Now, I don't want Roy Williams. I don't want Mike Krzyzewski. I don't want Jay Wright, even though Jay Wright runs guard-oriented basketball. His offense is similar to Borregos, predicated on building around the three-point line. I think Borrego will be an excellent college coach, by the way. I think Borrego will be a great college coach. I think his style, that wanting to be that hard-nosed, sit your young players on the bench type thing, he fits for college. Another problem I had with Borrego, if you look at James Bucknight, when James Bucknight actually played, he was productive. Like, if you look at his per 48 minutes and per 36 minutes numbers, when he actually played, he was productive. There was even a game where he had 15, 16, 17 points when Cody Martin got hurt. During that little stretch where he played significant minutes, he played well and was productive and shot the ball well. You can't be productive if you're on the bench. But Borrego has this thing, I think, when you're a rookie, it's just that he's going to hold you on the bench. He wants to be almost like he wants to be Popovich so bad, but he's not that. And what bothered me about that, he tried the same thing with LaMelo the first year, but LaMelo just played so well that he just couldn't. And you got to realize, as high as he was drafted and as well as he played, I mean, there was no way he could just hold him on the bench and be justified in doing it. But the first half of that season, the first third of that season, he tried to win him, and then he buried Bucknight, and you saw the near altercation that happened with him and Bucknight on the sideline that time. That's a coach that you don't even have respect from a rookie.
Yeah.
I'll put it like this. Bucknight would have never jumped in Phil Jackson's face like that.
No.
He would have never jumped in Eric Spoelstra's face like that.
Nope.
He would have never jumped in Steve Kerr's face like that.
Nope.
He would have never jumped in Mike D'Antoni's face like that.
Nope.
He would have never jumped in Greg Popovich's face like that. Nope. But he jumped in not Greg Popovich. He jumped in James Borrego's face like that. And evidently he didn't fear consequence. And when you disrespect someone and don't fear consequence, that's the ultimate sign that you don't respect them. Now, granted, a rookie or any player has no business getting his coach's face like that for any circumstance. So I want to acknowledge that James Bucknight was wrong for doing that. However, the fact that he felt that it was okay to do that shows you the lack of respect and command that the head coach had.
That's what I said. He lost that locker room.
Yeah.
He lost that locker room. Because this is the thing I say too. You know, when they have exit interviews, who's to say what those players said during those exit interviews? You know, really, like, they probably gave their 2 cents about how they felt, how the team was being ran, and I feel like as players, they are very tight. They're very tight knit. You know, when it comes to Miles Bridges, Melo, Terry, and all the other guys. You know, they came in, they kind of have that love for each other, but, you know, them having that bond, but not having the right motive to gear that bond is not going to do as well. You can have that greatness there, but don't know how to mold it into something better. So, yeah,
I want to share a history lesson, NBA history lesson, because Vince, I love you, buddy. So this is but you and some of your crew. When you were Vince is a solid dude. So this is all basketball banter, man. Again, I'm gonna do another plug. With this housing market out there, if you're looking to purchase a property, looking to sell your property, interested in a home ownership, I highly, highly, highly recommend Vince Dunlap. He's also the admin and founder of the Charlotte Hornets group on Facebook. So he's a big sports fan, but he's an excellent realtor, professional. He's prompt. He's on time. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's definitely the guy to use. My experience with him was awesome. The consummate professional. So Vince Dunlap Realty is who I would recommend to anyone looking to buy or sell their home. Now, back to the point. Hey, Vince, pay us for an ad, and we could definitely get you going. Now, when it comes to, I'm hearing comments from Vince or similar comments from Vince and some of the other guys who share his school of thought, which they have a right to. And I disagree with the comment. It's one of those where this guy just look, he won 43 games, got the win total to where it is now, and now you're going to fire him. Like this could backfire if you fire the coach who just had a winning season and then you go hire someone else, it could set you back. I said, but there's precedent for that because I used the Mark Jackson example. Then his counter was, well, a lot of that didn't have anything to do with basketball.
Hanging in the building.
Okay, so be it. Then I've used other examples like George Karl, which I don't like George Karl. I think George Karl's borderline racist, but he won 57 games here. He got fired. He talked about, well, he only got past the first round once with the Nuggets. I'm like, well, this guy's never even gotten us to the first round. He can't get past the play-in. The point I'm making is Lionel Hollins got fired from Memphis after getting to the Western Conference Finals. This happens. Now, granted, Memphis hadn't got to that level again, but look at them now. So the point I'm making, but here's a better example. The ultimate example of this is with the Lakers in 1980. The Lakers in 1980 won the NBA championship when they defeated the Philadelphia 76ers with a rookie Magic Johnson and a veteran Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Paul Westhead was the head coach of the Lakers.
Yep.
The Lakers fired Paul Westhead after winning a championship when Magic Johnson didn't like the way Westhead was utilizing him. And the same Westhead that used to also coach Loyola Marymount, coached the late great Hank Gaithers and Bo Kimball at Loyola Marymount. Paul Westhead ended up getting fired, and the Lakers hired Pat Riley. Yep. And some people said, this man just won a championship, and you fired him. This is stupid. This is going to set your franchise back. Little did they know, Magic Johnson even flourished even more, becoming a three-time league MVP and a three-time Finals MVP as well. And at the time he retired, was the all-time assist leader. He's fourth now, but he only played 12 years. At the time he retired, was the all-time assist leader and a five-time NBA champion. He won 4 of those under Pat Riley. So under Pat Riley, they went on to win 4 more NBA titles even after the firing of Paul Westhead, who had just won a championship. You could even talk with Chicago Bulls when they had Coach Doug Collins, when they had Michael Jordan. And they were still improving, making the playoffs and everything. They still fired Doug Collins, and they brought in a man by the name of Phil Jackson. Oh, they really got set back, didn't they? They only went on to win 6 championships. I can there's another scenario like that where a coach with a winning record got fired. Well, we already know about the Mark Jackson thing. I mentioned Paul Westhead's situation. I mentioned Doug Collins, and then what happened with Phil Jackson came after him. So the point is, there's precedent for a coach getting fired, even if his record wasn't bad, and you're going with someone else. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna set the franchise back. So, I mean, if you hire the wrong guy, it will. But the key is to hire the right guy. So that argument doesn't fly with me when I just gave examples to counter that.
I think Toronto had a similar situation too.
Dwayne Casey, exactly. Yeah. He had even gotten them to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years before, and they were the number 1 seed the year he got fired when they lost in the second round to Cleveland. They brought in Nick Nurse and brought in Kawhi Leonard, but
Mark Jackson
went on to win an NBA championship. But my point is, and they're still winning now. They're not as good as they are without Leonard, but they don't have Kyle Lowry or Leonard now. They're still with 6th seed in the playoffs, and Nick Nurse is still winning ball games, so the franchise still hadn't been set back. So that's a great example. So coaches who have success and getting fired, Vinny Del Negro went 56-26 with the Los Angeles Clippers, and they fired him and replaced him with Doc Rivers. And they still went on to have multiple winning seasons and multiple playoff years with Doc Rivers. So that doesn't mean that just because Brett Brown with Philadelphia 76ers, they won 50-something games a couple of years ago, lost in the second round of the playoffs, and he still got fired. So, you know, and the Sixers are still have a good team. So that you're going to pay for this, you're going to set your franchise back. I'm not seeing the evidence, even in past situations, where that's necessarily the case. I'm going to give you one more. Paul Silas, when he was with Cleveland, they won 43 games with LeBron. They fired him anyway and brought in Mike Brown. 2 years later, they were in the finals.
Right.
And you got a young LeBron James then, like you got a young LaMelo Ball. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
That's a good question, man. I was like me personally. I feel like now that they've gotten it out the way, they got a good solid roster, and they could get a couple. They could get a couple pieces to add with it as well. That probably fit in mold. Uh, I think now is the time to find the coach that can put that together. A good solid coach. I'm like you. I don't think you need a college coach. You need a pretty good savvy veteran coach, not an assistant, but somebody that's actually had some experience and that could actually put those guys into a winning position deep in the playoffs because they got the raw. They got the talent to make it there. If you utilize it right, I think that team got the talent in the next couple of years to go deep. I say deep in the East. So because you gotta look now that those powerhouse teams that you got now, they getting old.
Yeah, Kevin Durant will be 34 in September. So
yeah. Bring out.
I mean, Boston's the only one that's still everybody's in their mid-20s, early to mid-20s. But aside from that, those other teams, Philadelphia, James Harden's getting older. I know you got Embiid. He's injury prone. He got to have surgery during off season. Yeah. Toronto's still just middle of the road. Chicago's middle of the road. DeRozan's older. I think Charlotte can propel us to an Eastern Conference championship contender. The other example I meant to give was the Lakers. In 1998, the Lakers went 61-21, won 61 games. The next season, midway through the season, they fired Coach Dale Harris. And the next year, they hired Phil Jackson. Oh, they were going to set the franchise back. How are you going to fire a man who won 61 games? Had a young Kobe Bryant and a Shaquille O'Neal in his prime, and they were on the rise. How are you going to fire this guy that just won 61 games? He's going to set the franchise back. He's had a winning record every year he's been there. Oh, how are you going to do that? And they go hire Phil Jackson, and they got set back all right. They won 3 championships in a row immediately after. Then got to the finals the 4th time. And then Phil left and came back. And then a few years after he came back, then they won 2 more championships. So boo-hoo to set the franchise back. James Borregos is not a savior. He's fired. Get over it.
Thank you. Like I said, man, if they just find the right piece to go along with that, I think that team, they're special. That's a special group of guys. I see it. You can see it. It's just they ain't got the right person to mold them into it. That team is special. With the few games that I watched this year, a lot of those games I know they blew a couple of them, but they just, like I said, they just didn't have the right the guidance for it. I think they could have won a lot more than they.
They need a veteran in that locker room too. I'll tell you who I wouldn't mind them getting, and I know you probably think I'm crazy. Just as a backup to come off the bench, I wouldn't mind getting a Rajon Rondo to come off the bench. Not for necessarily some brilliant player or anything, but that veteran who's been on championship locker rooms, who has that calming presence. So when a game is getting a little haywire, he can kind of reel everything in and be like a coach on the floor too. Just a guy like that. If you can get a center, I'm not talking about an all-star center, but a center who can hold his own up front, like a Willie Cauley-Stein, like a Nerlens Noel, a 7-footer who can rebound, block shots, who can defend pick and rolls, that kind of thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to have a guy like Vujovic, but I'm talking about but I'm trying to set realistic goals.
Yeah.
So you're talking about if you can get a guy, even if you could, if a guy like a Capella was available, that'd be perfect. But just a guy that can rebound and hit the glass and be solid on the boards, kind of like what Andrew Bogut was in Golden State.
Yeah.
If you can get that, you're fine. Maybe I don't know what Brook Lopez's contract situation is, but he's a veteran and can play. Maybe you call up Milwaukee and see if you can throw something in there for throw Gordon Hayward or something for Brook Lopez. See if they take that,
Possibly. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to try.
Right. My point is, if you have someone in the middle, even like a Steven Adams, I know he's in Memphis, but I'm just using a guy like that in that mold. That's all you need. So you put that, get a veteran maybe like a Rondo or something just to come off the bench, make him and Isaiah Thomas get along. So if you can sign them back too, we know they had a little scuffle a couple years ago, but that'll be okay. Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman used to fight when Dennis Rodman played with the Pistons. So hey, there you go.
Anything possible.
Let's see what happens. This team is only like a couple of pieces, and I'm not talking about all stars. I'm talking about like little role player pieces away from being a contender with the right coach. Look at how Memphis propelled, just like that.
Yeah.
with John Morant, and they're 56 win number 2 seed. Got a 3-2 series lead right now, and this is a team and this all a bunch of guys they drafted like Bane. That's the guy they drafted. Buck Knight could at least be as good as Bane, if not better.
Oh yeah.
They drafted Jaren Jackson Jr. Miles Bridges is just as good, if not better, than Jaren Jackson Jr. John Morant, LaMelo Ball. I know right now Morant's a little better, but I'm talking about at the stage of his career. I'm talking about they're on the same trajectory. He's at the same pace. So when you look at it like that, Memphis, the main difference with Memphis is they have Steven Adams at center.
Right. The playoffs came quick. Well, they came about normal time.
Yeah, playoffs.
They came a little normal. I think they were one team in the second round right now, if I ain't mistaken. That's it. Everybody else is pretty much kind of jogging. I feel like that Toronto series gonna end up turning around eventually. I think that might end up being in Toronto's favor.
Man, with Doc Rivers' background blowing 3-1 leads, there's never been a team to blow a 3-0 lead. But with Doc Rivers have blown 3-3-1 leads, man, it's already it was 3-0. It's already 3-2. They're playing Toronto tonight. If that thing get to 3-3 and there's a game 7,
that's Toronto.
And we're feeling and you got a choke artist like James Harden, and you got and by the way, no relation. I'm D-I-N. He's D-E-N. Real Harden, spell it with an I. You got a choke artist like James Harden. Man, that pressure up in there. You got Embiid. Something he got to have surgery in offseason, so something broken again, I guess.
Still, take the link, man.
What Chill Town say?
He said Giannis is the best player in the league. I just wanted to say that.
Well, dang it, guy, I agree with you. We're not supposed to agree. You're supposed to say something outrageous so I can disagree. And don't tell me to go soft on me, Chill Town. We're supposed to disagree. We're supposed to debate. Dang it, you're going to say something that I agree with.
I tell you, take that link, man. It's up here.
He'll come here with that New York accent by way of California, with a little bit of Tucson, Arizona sprinkled in between.
Praise the Lord. But yeah, like I said, man, I think if that happens to Doc Rivers, good night, Irene. I think he's gonna out the door.
Yeah, man.
He's gonna be out the door.
Yeah, he can't do that.
He'll be out.
If Philadelphia loses that series, that team get busted up.
There he is.
You hear that Chill Town?
Don't take long, man. Don't take long.
There he is. What's happening, partner?
I had to upset the balance, man. Me and TH up here agreeing, man. We gotta fix that.
Hey, I got this.
Yeah, man.
I got this.
Long time no here.
Yeah, man. Hope y'all doing good, man. Good to hear y'all.
You too, my brother.
What you feel about the situation? I know we talking about the James Borregos situation in Charlotte. I know you probably don't follow too much Charlotte basketball, but how do you, from what you've seen, what do you think about it?
Honestly, let me speak on the team first off. I think that team. I think I did hear you say that team is special. I think they got some really good potential if they can keep everybody and put is what I'm hearing is the coach is on his way out, or what's the deal?
Oh, he out.
He out. He ain't on his way to nothing. He out.
Oh man. Okay, so we're talking about who we want to see in the seat or what?
Yeah.
And who would you like to see?
With all the situation?
Oh man,
Golden State dude, he might want to see Mark Jackson get a shot again.
I was about to, you know what? That was the first name that popped in my head. He does deserve a shot, but I'm not sure that team dynamic would fit with him. I think he'd be a good choice. I wouldn't be upset with the choice. But yeah, I would go with Mark Jackson first. I mean that's my first pick, just to give him a shot again. He deserves another shot. Especially with that young talent. He's not a stranger to coaching young talent, so I think he'd be a good fit.
He molded the Splash Brothers.
Oh yeah,
that's the truth. He left the kitchen with all of the food on the oven, man. All my man Curry had to do was serve it up.
He's Tony Dungy and Steve Kerr's John Gruden.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Yep.
That's a good analogy. But I think that team is ready for a good young coach or a coach with some experience that could, take them to the next level. They got the talent to do it.
It's just a matter of them learning how to win at a high level. And a lot of that comes with their defensive consistency, or in this case, defensive inconsistency. That's one of the reasons I want Mark Jackson. Number one, he's, like you said, he's accustomed to molding young players into being good defenders. Even Steve Kerr, even when they asked him one time about this team's great defense, like who molded this defense, he said Mark Jackson. He said the only thing I did is I came in and I tinkered the offense. He said the defense was already in place, and he said Mark Jackson did that.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see what staff Mark Jackson brings in with him too, because head coach is one thing, but to have a good surrounding staff that comes in with him too.
Yeah, bring in. If I was him, I'd bring in Mike Brown on my staff just for defensive purposes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then Mike Brown has background coaching the young LeBron James, so he's coached a young star before. Coached in big games as a head coach and as an assistant. Coached in pressure situations. Coached the Lakers as well. He got railroaded with the Lakers. Mike Brown did. So I wouldn't mind having a guy like Mike Brown on my staff. I wouldn't mind if Mike D'Antoni's interested in being on the staff, dealing with the offense. And no matter how I feel about Mike D'Antoni, because I can't stand him, he's still excellent with point guards.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we need a good. Well, I say we. They need a good shooting coach too.
Yeah, what D'Antoni helps with that. If Chuck Person's out of prison, Chuck Person's a good shooting coach, but he might still be. He was caught up in some NCAA scandal during that time that Sean Miller and them got in trouble.
Oh yeah, we won't be reaching out to him.
Yeah,
unless it's a collect call.
If you can't get Mike D'Antoni, get his brother Dan D'Antoni, head coach at Marshall. He used to be on the Mike staff in Phoenix. Get Dan D'Antoni's an older guy, but you can get Dan D'Antoni on the staff. I mean, there are guys out there that you can. I wouldn't mind having like a former, because you want some former head coaches on your staff as well, because the thing about a head coach, like you said, if your staff is weak, then you're going to suffer too.
Exactly, and I would think that they would give Mark Jackson carte blanche when it comes to picking his staff, because he knows who he would want to bring in to help his team.
Yeah, I'm sure he would bring in. Maybe he could bring in John Starks as a shooting coach. That would make sense.
John Starks,
him and Michael Jordan
as a shooting coach.
Just not a shooting in Game 7 coach.
Yeah, but we know what happened in that series against Houston. But I'm talking about John Starks was an excellent shooter. He just shot poorly in that game.
Yeah, I'll give you that. What about would you bring in Luke Walton as an assistant coach?
Sure, why not? I mean, I don't want everyone who's going to be the head coach, but why not?
Yeah,
I had to put an Arizona alum in there, man. Just throw that in there.
You know how I feel about Luke Walton, because I root for the Lakers. So but Luke was a fired assistant to go to state. I don't mind Luke being an assistant coach. He's available because Sacramento fired his butt as the head coach, so he's available.
As it should have.
Sko, what's up, man?
What's happening?
Sko, I like that. I like that AV, man. That's pretty good.
Damn, KD.
Is that the real MVP pick?
Man, leave KD alone, man. That's not KD's fault, man. Leave him alone.
Hey,
somebody got to take the butt of this blame.
Hey, didn't Spike Lee have a move called "Get on the Bus"?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but there you go, man.
I'll blame the coaching staff and probably our bench.
Well, Steve Nash is not a coach.
Hell, I mean, man, no.
He getting paid to be one.
Yeah, so
he showed up faking the fault that team.
You don't think if Kyrie would have made the choice to take the vaccination, that team would have had a better record, and they probably wouldn't have ended up having to play Boston in the first round?
I agree with that 100%. But at the same time, you can only deal with the hand that you're dealt. So yes, you are correct. Had Kyrie played, more than likely James Harden wouldn't have been traded either, because they would have been in a better team position. So I agree with what you said on that part. And yes, they probably would have been a top 2 or 3 seed and would have had a different matchup. But nevertheless, by the time the matchup took place, it should, at that point, you have your pieces there. And if you look at the level of talent, if you say on the surface before any games are played, you say Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, that's number 1 versus number 1. Ordinarily, I think most people say Kevin Durant. Then you look at number 2 versus number 2, Kyrie Irving versus Jaylen Brown. Just on paper, on the surface, the average Joe will probably say, "Okay, I'm taking Kyrie Irving on that." And you had both of them there available and healthy, and I already played several games together before going in and was on a good stride. At that point, you're looking at level of talent. because not just necessarily a record, because the record can be deceiving, especially in that case. Just like the Houston Rockets won 47 games and were 6 seed, and they still went on to win a championship.
Yeah, and I don't think that team had the opportunity to build any type of chemistry because they never had a fully healthy or fully consistent team the whole season. Like even when Harden, Durant, and Kyrie was on the floor at the same time, they stunk.
Technically, they had 2 games together, all 3 of them together.
Did they win those games?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's not enough to even matter.
That's still not enough. They had Blake Griffin, they had Andre Drummond, they had Marcus Aldridge, they had Seth Curry, they had a whole slew of different people, but they had no time to get it together. And then they go against Boston, the best defensive team in the league, in the first round. You doomed. That's it. Yep. Their ticket was already written before you got one 40-point game from Kyrie. That's all you got.
Yeah.
But but chill time. Even in those scenarios, there were games that you could argue that could have gone either way. They could have easily won. Game 1, in spite of all of that, they lost a game 115 to 114 on a last-second layup. They didn't lose that game on Boston's great defense. They lost that game because someone blew an assignment and let Jason Tatum hit a layup. That's the difference between being up 1-0 and down 0-1. Then game 2, they had a double-digit lead in game 2 and let the team come roaring back and beat them in a very close 114 to 107 game. Those aren't like stifling 86 to 82 type ball games. So those are 2 games right there. You can argue. You should have won game 1 and game 2 and been up 2-0. So that's still lack of execution down the stretch.
I get that. I get that. And and just to put it this way, had they had more playing time together, because remember, Kyrie joined the team more consistently towards the end of the season, right? And they really didn't have any consistency, right? To put together a team like that, I mean, you still had some good talent. They hardly even played Marcus Aldridge at all.
Nope. No, we didn't.
Yeah, he's past his prime though. But when you evaluate Steve Nash, even when you look at the total body of work, last year they lost in the second round of the playoffs. That was a team that was expected to get to the finals. So you guys, in the years that Nash has taken over, they haven't even gotten to a conference finals.
But wait a minute, didn't that Brooklyn team go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year?
Yeah, we did.
They lost in the second round.
No, they lost to the. I thought they lost to the Bucks.
Yeah, that was the second round. That was a 2 seed versus 3 seed. Bucks with the 3 seed, Nets with a 2 seed.
So who did the Bucks play to go to the championship?
The Atlanta Hawks.
Yep.
Okay, the Hawks in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
I could have swore it was the Nets and
yeah,
it was the Hawks.
Might be right.
The Hawks upset the 76ers, and the Hawks and the Bucks played in the conference finals.
Okay. Yeah, I won't disagree with that. You might be right.
So y'all don't think the Nets need a new bench?
They may.
They might, but like I said, they really didn't. I just keep saying this. They didn't get any consistency, man. They didn't get a chance to see what Drummond and Aldridge can do on the floor. You may not. Yeah, they're old. I get that, but honestly, they could have played Aldridge more in the playoffs.
You can also say, Frank Vogel wasn't given that grace with the Lakers when he had a similar situation where you had guys where you never had all 3 of your pieces together at one time.
That's a fact.
But and by the way, I'm not defending what happened with the Lakers. I'm about to say what happened with the Lakers was still unacceptable in spite of that. So I feel like this is equally as unacceptable for the Nets. So the point is, but people have kind of blasted Frank Vogel, but yet it's like we're giving grace to Steve Nash when they both underachieved this year with teams that were supposed to be much better than what they were, and both of them had to deal with not having your nucleus together and not able to gel in time.
Well, here's a commonality, right? So if you would have told Frank Vogel that he was going to be without AD, for 30, 40 games, same thing with Nash. They knew that they were not going to be that successful. Neither one of them saw these injuries and like away time coming. So I would say they both were dealt a bad hand. So I would say with Vogel, yeah, you might not cut him as much slack as Nash, but Nash didn't know Kyrie wasn't going to take the shot.
True, but at the same time, when it comes to Nash, when it comes to Irving, you may not know he wasn't going to take the shot, but you do know he has a history of being unreliable and not being available for work for whatever miscellaneous reasons.
I agree. And I've had that argument when people try to, put him try to compare him to Klay Thompson. I'm like, look, at
Irving?
least Klay is available.
Yeah, and when Klay is not available, it's strictly because he's injured, not because of other.
Because of a personal choice.
I feel like this: Klay is not going to miss games because Russia bombed the Ukraine.
Agree.
Kyrie will use some finesse, and I'm not a specific
because
situation.
Klay isn't a selfish player like Kyrie is.
Yeah,
That's
well,
true.
Kyrie Irving's not right in the head.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
they got a lot of little cases.
Now, see the difference between Ben Simmons is trying to milk the mental health thing. Kyrie really ain't right in the head. Ben Simmons just a smug SOB who just can't take criticism, so he don't want to go out there and play.
Come on, man.
They had some story today about him talking to one of the front office people talking about it was saying something about how he was how is it Rich Paul told him that he was supposed to play, but then he was like, I can't play because of my mental health. I'm still dealing with it. I can't get over last year's playoff.
Look here, man. Let me tell you, if you can have somebody tape you dunking in a practice, you can get out there and help your team try to win at least one game and not get swept.
I agree with that, and I'm not defending Ben Simmons because I think he's an arrogant prick who just didn't want to play. However, if we're going to laud and praise Simone Biles for doing the same exact thing to the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team, then why are we going to hold Ben to a different standard? Because the only thing that we have is just her word too, and what bothered me about that, and I know I'm going to get ripped for this by some people once this gets played out. I don't hate Simone Biles. I think she's an all-time great Olympic athlete, so I'm not knocking her. But for her to go out there in the Olympics and say, I'm not going to compete because I don't feel mentally able to, with nothing to support that, just when to me it's just like she didn't feel like she was she was at her best, so she decided not to compete.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't she come back and compete
at the very end? But I mean.
But
at the
Ben
point where they needed her most,
she
wasn't there.
Ben Simmons didn't even do that. He didn't even come back and get a team 10, 15 minutes. He just said,
That's fair.
I'm hearing voices. I'm done. I ain't playing no more.
Yeah, that's fair. And that point is valid. The overall point that I'm making is the whole concept of one person saying they're not going to compete because of mental health. And then, but then there's another person who says the same thing, but he's ripped for it. But the lady gets praised for it. When I think they both should have been ripped for it, is what I'm saying.
But Simone didn't have a history of this.
That's
right?
true.
Did Ben Simmons mention anything about mental health when he wasn't playing in Philly?
Nope.
He did at the beginning of the season when he was being disruptive in training camp and Doc sent him home. And then when they brought him back, he said he couldn't, that he wasn't mentally ready or something like that.
Well, Simone didn't go into full diva
mode,
but Simmons did.
Yeah, Simmons pulled that card early during the preseason in Philadelphia, which is why he wasn't there, saying that he pulled a mental health card. And here's what bothers me about this: mental health is serious, and there are a lot of people who have who deal with the mental illness and deal with mental health things, deal with stress, deal with depression, deal with anxiety, deal with a bevy of mental health conditions / illnesses / sicknesses who seek therapy, who get help, who battle every day. To me, it's a disservice to folks who deal with those issues when you have a $200 million athlete who just can't take criticism, gonna sit out, be disruptive, and then when he gets grilled about it, gonna say, "Oh, my mental health is bad."
Right.
And I'm gonna take my picture off too if everybody else took theirs off. So that mental health is bad.
He can't take the heat. That's a clear example of he's not
ready.
He's not mentally ready to be a good teammate.
Right, and to me, he's
the number one selfish player in the NBA, and Kyrie's number 2.
Yeah, and to me,
now.
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
To me, when it comes to Ben Simmons, you got to realize. I think he's, for anybody listening, excuse the language about here. He is so used to everybody kissing his ass. When he was in Australia, he was probably the best Australian planet. He was probably the Michael Jordan of Australia, the best Australian player probably ever live on the planet. So he's there. He's used to everybody telling him how great he is, lauding him and just kissing up to him. He comes to LSU. LSU doesn't have a darn thing at the time he's there, so he's clearly the best player at LSU, head and shoulders above everyone else. Already consensus number 1, so he's already put on a pedestal there. He comes in as the first pick in the draft, so he's already coming in as this guy that's always been told how great he was, probably never been criticized, never had to deal with criticism. Then all of a sudden, the league humbles you, and now he's realizing he's not as good as he thought he was.
Yeah,
and smug arrogance.
He's been on a pedestal since he was drafted number 1. Then when they bring in some extra players in Philadelphia to help him try to win, put some pieces around him, he's still in diva mode, man. He's like, now you realize that this really isn't your team anymore, and you have to accept that, and he couldn't accept that. So now it's I'm gonna throw a fit, and then I'm getting paid, so I get to throw a fit and play whenever I want.
Yeah,
No,
then
man.
when they didn't
It's a
pay
different-
what they did, like
it's a
the
different culture.
suspension thing, now he's filing a grievance trying to recover the money he lost. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's see, to me, it's like you're not really concerned with helping your team win a championship.
I agree.
I mean, technically, he claimed he had back problems. Technically,
But he was having people videotape him dunking in practice.
Yeah.
which I don't get that either.
That's not showing me you ready to help the team. You're not even out there, trying to play. Like, even if it may injure you, you could at least go out there and
It's 10
just
minutes.
walk on the floor and try for a minute and a half. And if it don't go, at least the crowd, your team, so you try to get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, think Willis Reed in Game 7 against the Lakers.
Bruh, Kobe, Clay, they all played injured, man. Kobe tore his Achilles, shot free throws. Clay tore his knee, shot free throws.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff the kids, the fans want to see. They don't want to see somebody just pouting on the bench because they ain't getting no burn. Come on, man.
And as we rip in, let's not let Kawhi Leonard off for the pass either.
This
is a guy
he would have been. He's number 3. He's number 3.
He's number 3.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, if he breaks his fingernail, he's gonna milk it for a year.
Yeah, he's number 3.
When he won
that
that championship in Toronto, they rested him 66 games. He had 66 DMPs, and they weren't for injury; they were just for rest, that load maintenance stuff.
Let's not talk about what he did in San Antonio.
How much rest do you need, man?
Don't forget about what he did in San Antonio.
Yeah, when he was medically after he tore his quad, he was medically after he not tore his quad after he sprained his quad or whatever. He was medically cleared by the doctors to return around mid-season, and he continued to sit out saying his doctor hasn't cleared him.
Yeah, he pulled a fast one, man. He collected his check out the back door.
So I don't have any respect for Kawhi Leonard. And like even last year, he got hurt in the playoffs, and he still hadn't come back. I know they didn't make it. Well, they should have made it, but they got screwed by the play-in. But when he didn't even attempt to come back this year in the entire season when his injury happened in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, when they played the Timberwolves, he could have helped them play, especially when Paul George went down.
Yeah.
He sat there and watched his team get mopped up.
And I'm starting to put Zion Williamson in that category too.
Who?
Yeah, he might be another one sneaking his check on. They slide his check under the door.
He's unhappy in New Orleans, that's for sure. It didn't come
But
out.
Darren, I get that, but here's the thing. I'm
not giving an excuse though for that, but I'm just saying.
But the question I have is, what has he done to earn the right to voice complaint in New Orleans? He's only in his 3rd year in the league. He's only played 1 year.
His 3rd year in the league. Damn.
Yeah, 3rd year.
3rd year.
Third, he missed a good chunk of his rookie season. He played a good chunk of last year. They didn't hardly win nothing, but you can't say they don't have talent around him because you had Brandon Ingram and other guys around him. So you had talent around him.
They're out there doing work without him.
Right. Yeah. They're competing in the playoffs right now without him. So I don't
just hang out on the bench. I'll see you next season. We can't.
Right.
You don't need.
And he was supposed to come back around December. And then you get to this point, he's still out, and it wasn't supposed to be one of those major season-ending or season-long type injuries. This is a guy who just doesn't want to play or not trying to play, and he hasn't done anything in the NBA significant enough to where he can make those kind of demands.
He just making it harder for teams to go after him during these free agent seasons, and this is gonna be like
this is gonna cause another lockout. These guys, because when they get ready to negotiate collective bargaining again, these governors are going to get to the point where they're going to want provisions to protect their pocketbooks in these situations, and then the Players Association ain't going to be with it. And this whole type thing that Ben Simmons, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, this type game that these guys are playing is going to lead to another lockout.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's definitely a possibility. When you got people getting paid $30 and $40 million, and you ain't even getting them in the playoffs when you need them the most.
Right.
And it seemed like back when guys were only making $25 million. I know that sounds silly, but back when only making $25 million. But back when it seemed like then guys wanted to actually still tried to play. So when people say that this era is soft and the yesteryear's era was tougher, it's not a bunch of old back in my day guys just being grumpy. It's evident. The factual data shows it when you're seeing these guys who don't even attempt to play halftime when they're not even injured.
Right.
And making more money than any NBA players have ever made.
Yeah, and I gotta pay top dollar for season tickets prices, and the start that I'm paying for my kids to come see. I can't see them.
Yeah.
And when you look at these contracts, it's because those TV contracts and TV revenue is so much higher. But when you see a guy like Rudy Gobert get $200 million, and that's what bothers a guy like Shaq when he see a guy like Rudy Gobert get, and I nothing against Rudy Gobert, he's a good player, but Rudy Gobert, even in an inflated market, isn't worth $200 million.
No,
he's got a good agent.
Rudy Gobert is a good player. Rudy Gobert in today's era that'd have been like if Rick Smits would have been getting paid Shaq money.
Yep.
yeah,
I like Rick Smits, man. What are you talking about?
I like Rick Smits too, but we're talking about compared to Shaquille O'Neal, compared to Alonzo Mourning, compared to Patrick Ewing. I'm talking about he's not in that category. But Rick Smits was a good center. I don't take anything away from him. Just like Rudy Gobert. But the point is, he was a good center from that era. Rudy Gobert's okay. Well, I'll even give you another. It'd be like a Rafe LaFrentz. Yeah, I'm going back.
No, yeah. He ain't worth $200,000.
Rafe LaFrentz was a decent starting center. Good shot blocker. Actually,
Kansas, maybe.
If even in Denver and Dallas, if Rafe LaFrentz played today, he would be an all-star in today's game. He shot the three from outside. He was a good shot blocker. He definitely was a jump shooter, face-up player, and a very good three-point shooter from the outside as a big man.
Just give me Brad Miller, man. Just give me Brad Miller.
But seriously, Shaq might knock him out. But I'm gonna tell you guys, Rafe LaFrentz, Sam Perkins, those are guys, if they played today, would be all-stars.
Okay.
Who else? I'll even throw another. Mehmet Okur, who isn't that long ago. Mehmet Okur.
I like Okur's game. He was on the Wizards, wasn't he?
Nah, Utah Jazz.
He didn't play for the Wizards at all?
He played for the Pistons first as backup.
Who am I thinking about? Who was the center for the Wizards? White guy, bald head. Oh, man.
Morshin Gortat.
Gortat. Yeah. Give me Gortat. I like Gortat, man.
Man, we throwing out some random names tonight, man.
I like Gortat, man.
Shawn Bradley.
Hey, man. Speaking of Shawn Bradley, he's paralyzed. He was in a bad he got run over on his bike maybe a year ago.
Oh man.
Who the hell didn't see him while they was driving?
Yeah, he was on his bicycle out there in Utah, and somebody ran into him, and he's paralyzed from neck down.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fine to criticize him as a basketball player, but I just, on a serious note, man, I hate that happened to him. So I wish him well.
Yeah.
And no, Shawn Bradley would not be a star in today's game or in any era, but still, I hate that happened to him. But the guys that we're talking about are guys who are skillful, but their skills weren't featured like they would be featured now. Like I always tell people, Tony Kukoc would be a superstar in today's game.
What about Ilgauskas?
Ilgauskas made like a couple All-Stars anyway.
Yeah, I liked his game.
Yeah, but I like Ilgauskas was a 2 or 3 time All-Star, but and with LeBron in Cleveland, but people always act like there was nothing there. Don't get me wrong, they didn't have no super team, nothing there. But Ilgauskas was in the time that Ilgauskas played, he was a top 3 or 4 center.
He was only an All-Star when LeBron was there, though.
True, but he still put up the production.
Fair enough.
Scottie Pippen only made the All-Star when he was with Michael Jordan. He didn't make any All-Stars in Portland. He didn't make the so I mean,
or Houston.
Well, they didn't have an All-Star year. He was in Houston because it was a lockout season.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They only played 50 games that year. But he played in Houston 1 year, and then in Portland, he didn't make any All-Stars in Portland. And I'm talking about he was in Portland for several years. He's getting older, but I'm saying the only time he made All-Star was with Michael Jordan. But you can't take away from his 7 All-Star appearances.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
who on the Brooklyn Nets who on the Nets isn't coming back next year? That's what I want to know.
Well, I don't know who's the contract situations for everyone.
Bruce Brown. Damn, what was it? Damn. I think Claxton too.
Is Dragic coming back?
No,
I doubt it. They picked him up. They picked him up like on that waiver wire thing, didn't
they? Yeah. They picked him up on the waiver wire. Yeah.
Well, that's not the term, but I'm trying to think. I can't think of the right term. You know, like after trade deadline, when they let them veterans, they cut those
buyout.
Yeah.
It was a buyout.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think.
Yeah, they're gonna be a different team next year. That's for sure.
Well, here's the thing, man. Durant's going to be 34. He's getting older. You still just a couple that ruptured Achilles. That's not something to just. I'm talking the after effect. That ain't something to just go away. He was an anomaly. Like Dominique Wilkes played well the first year after his ruptured Achilles too, but then he started to decline. Typically, you get into your 30s and you suffered a ruptured Achilles. I think that we've seen the best of him.
Yeah,
That's true.
I agree with that. I mean, he basically carried the Nets the whole season. I mean, he was in the MVP conversation.
True,
So,
but when you're dealing with that wears and tear on you, man.
agreed.
And I'm thinking next year you're going to see a decline. I feel like he's not going to average 28 points next year. He might average 21 or 22 next year. I think you'll start seeing that drop. With Kyrie Irving, he's a head case, and you just don't even know when he's going to show up at work, and he's off injured too.
He got about I would say, what's his Kyrie's third year coming up after the season?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he got about 1 or 2 more years left on that team before he does something to leave.
He might do something. He might even go. I mean, I'm not being funny, but he might even go on a pilgrimage to Mecca and decide not to play. You never know with him.
Might just leave.
He might go play in. He might go play in China. He might go play in China.
That's something that he would do.
He might just leave.
Just to prove a point.
Like I said, he might go on a pilgrimage to Mecca and take the whole season off. And I'm not being funny, but I'm being serious.
I can see him doing it. He can mess up a cup of coffee at this point. I mean,
he's toxic.
Yeah, the Lakers in Brooklyn in bad shape. I'm telling you, right now. You see that report that came out about the front office is upset with not KD, but AD and LeBron.
No,
I didn't see that, but tell me more.
Yeah, they basically is coming out. They already deflecting like it wasn't them. It wasn't their decision. The front office. It's on AD and LeBron, so that's gonna be interesting.
Oh,
they
was behind running Vogel about it, huh?
Yeah, so they basically trying to.
Well, I believe that.
Placing the blame now.
They're placing the blame now, so don't be surprised you don't see the Lakers start.
Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had to go look that one up.
Look on the score. I saw it on the score.
I believe you.
I believe you too. I want to read more on that.
You know what? This off topic. When I look at the screen here, it looks like a starting lineup. When I see like 3 forwards and 2 forwards, a center, and 2 guards, like the way that's lined up when you look at the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And Black Jesus is the center.
Black Jesus at center. You got Sko at
one that didn't they call Earl Monroe or Clyde Frazier Black Jesus, or was it Earl Monroe?
I think it was. No, they call the Pearl.
Or the Pearl.
Yes, sir. Earl Monroe. Clyde Frazier then was Black Jesus. Then.
I believe it.
Yeah, because that's where the whole Jesus Shuttlesworth came from. At least that fictional character. Because they were like his dad was a big fan of Clyde Frazier.
You know, I could see LeBron. I could see LeBron and AD conspiring to get Vogel up out of there, man. I could see it.
Yeah, they have star players get coaches fired all the time. So
yeah, Magic.
Magic did it to Paul Westhead.
They didn't. Wait a minute. Didn't? Oh man, did LeBron do that in Cleveland too?
With David Blatt?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's kind of people kind of think it, but there was never a tangible type report that came out about it. But it was one of those things that people kind of wink and a nod believe.
Huh. I see a commonality here.
And speaking of David Blatt, when we were talking about firing Borrego having to win the season, David Blatt went to the finals. Then the next year had the best record in the conference through the halfway point of the season at 31-10, and still got fired.
Yep.
I've never seen someone with a 31-10 record, number 1 record in the conference, following an NBA Finals appearance get fired in midseason.
Didn't Mike Brown take him to the finals? Didn't Mike Brown take him to the finals? They fired him.
Was that Lou?
Yeah, but Mike Brown didn't get fired that same year. Though Mike Brown got fired like after they won 61 games and lost in the second round to Boston.
That's when LeBron left.
Yep, and took his talents to South Beach. I hate that. Number one, the Miami Heat don't play in South Beach. They play in downtown Miami. I passed by the arena. The arena's right there on US 1 in downtown Miami. South Beach is in Miami Beach, which is an entirely different city. Huh?
I said it's on Biscayne. It's just right across the water.
Yeah. But when people say the Miami Dolphins, when they talk about South Beach, Miami Dolphins play nowhere near South Beach. They play in Miami Gardens, which is about 30 minutes from South Beach.
Mm-hmm. That's my
Miami
stomping
Gardens is
ground.
close to the Broward County line, near the airport and all that. They ain't nowhere near South Beach.
So that was just a facade.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphin Stadium, Miami Gardens is closer to like Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, and all that than it is to South Beach.
Listen,
Yeah,
Miami
it's
Gardens is
Fort
in the
Lauderdale.
Miami Gardens is in the hood, man.
Yeah, Carroll City and all that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Carroll City Cartel.
Triple C's. Made up finna bring the gangster back.
You're watching the draft tomorrow or not?
I may watch
Yeah,
the
watch
first
them.
round just to see what the Giants decide to do.
I wouldn't even think. I forgot about the
Yeah, the
NFL.
draft or
I think Giants got two or three first rounders. They're probably going to trade one of them away. I guarantee it.
And the Jets do too.
as long as they're lining up Daniel Jones, it don't matter what they do with those picks.
I hope the Jets.
Come on now.
And Daniel Jones is from Charlotte. That's where he grew. He went to Charlotte Christian High School. But
They need to give Daniel Jones a chance to not be the leading rusher, man.
I didn't see what they saw in him at Duke.
They need to block for Daniel Jones and not let him be the leading rusher. That's what they need to do.
I want the Jets to trade that number 10 pick to the San Francisco.
For who?
Giants going to trade Bradbury away. They're going to get rid of Sterling Shepard. They're going to try to get that number 2 pick.
You know, we used to have Bradbury here in Carolina.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of two of those. We're gonna get rid of him and Shepard. They're gonna try to get that number 2 pick.
This is how I feel about Bradbury. Bradbury is a high IQ player, very smart, and you can tell he studies film. He's always in the right position, but he has no ball skill at all. It's like when it comes to intercepting the ball, it's like he can net track the ball and bring it in. He just he's good in his coverage, but he lacks ball skill.
Yeah, they're gonna trade him and they're gonna draft another corner.
But he's still a good player. He's just not a great player.
They just need to protect Daniel Jones and give Saquon.
But at this point, he's gun shy at Chilltown. When it's just like saying protect David Carr. I'm talking David Carr is in Houston. They really say, "Oh, protect him." I'm like, at this point, he's gun shy. It doesn't even matter. At this point, he's damaged goods. When the quarterback got hit that many times, it doesn't matter if you protect him now because he's still going to be gun shy.
He honestly didn't even get hit that much because he was running the ball.
So what pick the Giants got this year? What's the first? What number are they?
They got the 4th, I believe.
They're probably
Now we got the.
It's either the 3rd or the 4th, and then they got the 7th.
I think they're gonna get Pickens. Watch, they're gonna get a quarterback. I guarantee you.
If anybody who drafts Kenny Pickett is drafting a bust. I'm gonna tell you. No, let me have this about myself. I'm gonna tell you why Kenny Pickett is hyped up as a first round pick. In any other year, Kenny Pickett would not be hyped up as a first round draft pick. This is a weak year in college football for quarterbacks, and every year they have to at least have one white quarterback they hype up to be a great quarterback. He was the best of what was out there. I'm talking about in that category. So they anointed him as that. So even though his skill set doesn't match that, there has to be one, and he fit that mold. So he's their guy. They fit the mold to be that guy. So that's who they chose because they felt that he was the best of what was there. In any other year, he probably wouldn't even be a 3rd or 4th rounder. But they're hyping him up, and he wasn't even that great at Pittsburgh. And they say he got small hands. You got to realize this ACC country, so we see all ACC games. Pittsburgh's in the ACC, so I saw Kenny Pickett a lot. They won games in the running attack, and they played good defense, smashed my football. They got very fortunate. Clemson was in a down year, and they beat Clemson. And from that point on, it was like, oh, Kenny Pickett. I'm like, draft Kenny Pickett, and you're gonna get Daniel Jones Jr.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh man.
It's recorded, so there you go.
That's strike 2, man. That's the second time you took a jab at Daniel Jones.
Hey, the proof is in the pudding with Daniel Jones. I mean, he's been there how many years now?
Forever.
Daniel Jones didn't even do it when he was a Duke, man. Daniel Jones being dropped as high as he was the same reason that Kenny Pickett's been hyped like he is. It was a down year for quarterbacks. That year, besides God rest his soul, Haskins was the only other prospect that was up. And speaking of that, man, that's God rest that young man's soul.
But before you go there, who was the Panthers quarterback last year?
Sam Darnold.
Come on, chill.
Sam Darnold.
And who else?
Cam Newton.
I rest my case.
No, you don't, because I'm going to come back. But Sam Darnold, you're correct. Cam Newton's accomplished far more than Daniel Jones had.
What has he accomplished?
Huh?
What has he accomplished that's noteworthy?
A Super Bowl. We went to Super Bowl.
League MVP.
Yeah, league MVP. He was league.
Oh, led the rookies.
I'll give him that.
Rick,
And three-time Pro Bowler.
Pro Bowls aren't important anymore.
But he's still a three-time Pro Bowler. So that means that Tom Brady's 19 Pro Bowls, 15 Pro Bowls, aren't important either. Based on that logic. Nevertheless,
Tom Brady don't deserve to be in that conversation. That's like the creme de la creme. And
well, I didn't say that he was as good as Tom Brady. What I'm saying is, you said Pro Bowls don't matter, so they don't matter. They don't matter.
Most recently, Pro Bowls are irrelevant. The athletes that are in the Pro Bowl aren't even really playing that much.
Pro Bowl game is boring.
That's not the point I'm making. That means that we pay for a guy like Brady. That means his 15 are relevant too. Is all I'm saying. If it's relevant, one person is relevant. That's what I'm saying.
Jeremiah, what's up, man?
Tell you in the cup.
And to the point, Cam Newton does have a winning record.
What the world?
Daniel Jones has never had a winning season. Has never even played in the playoff game. So I'm gonna say I can believe with the Bruno comparison. I know Newton went 0-6 for us last year. We brought him in the middle of the season, but his overall body of work, even at that stage that Daniel Jones was in his career. What year is Daniel Jones in?
Oh my goodness, I'm honestly like to be 100% honest. If I would rather have Mitch Trubisky than Daniel Jones right now at this point. You're not gonna get me to put Daniel Jones higher than where he is right now.
But what year is Daniel Jones in? Though? I'm talking about how long has he been in the league?
Oh man, goodness gracious. I'm gonna say about 5. I'm gonna say about 5. Sorry.
Okay, so through year 5, I'm like, yeah, you don't rest your case. I'm gonna say through year 5, what he's done or hasn't done, you got the bottom of the barrel.
Well, you want to compare what Daniel Jones did last season versus what Cam Newton did last season?
If you want to go year by year, well, I know we went 1-6 with Newton last year. That's a known fact.
And the Giants were. I think
the Giants suck anyway.
They did suck last year. I'll give you that. But you're a Jets fan, so you honestly
they know what
we did come on.
Are there any Jets fans left in New York? I'm just curious.
Me.
Chill time. Let's go back to Daniel Jones. Give me any point in Daniel Jones' career where there's a positive sample size.
His audio really messing up.
Say that question one more time.
Your audio muffling.
I know I can't do anything about it. I said, give me any sample size of where Daniel Jones had a positive sample size in his career at any point in the Giants.
2019.
What did he do in 2019?
He threw for over 3,000 yards. He threw for 25 touchdowns. And didn't even play the full season.
How many picks he threw?
He threw 12.
And what was their record in the games he played?
Let me find out for you. Give me a second.
I think New England is going to be a playoff team this year.
Man, forget New England, all right?
I think Matt Jones is going to take a step back, but I want to hear what Chilton got to say.
I know what team in the AFC East ain't going to make it. The Jets.
We was 5-11 that year. He only threw for over 3,000.
Okay, so he threw for 3,000 and still went 5-11. So how many of those were coming in meaningful situations or coming when the game was in balance already?
We was 5-11. We got blown out twice that year.
So, there you go. You know what? Let's move on.
Yeah, told you.
Nah, it ain't nothing like that. We respect each other. Like, we good.
I know.
I just know that Cam Newton y'all had can't hold a candle to what Daniel Jones was doing.
Do you see the Panthers had the worst pass blocking offensive line in the league, so you could have put anybody back there.
And for the record, the Giants' offensive line wasn't no better.
And the Jets too. The Jets was terrible.
Like I said, we brought him in with 5 games left in the season or 6 games left in the season. I'm about to say it didn't work. So be
more than Sam Darnold.
But what I can say, if you look at Cam Newton through 5 years versus Daniel Jones through 5 years, it's not even worth a discussion.
Yeah, it's not, because Cam Newton had a lot more tools in his toolbox than Daniel Jones did.
And those tools were his own skill set, because we had some of the worst receivers.
No, because first of all, Sterling Shepard was hurt. Saquon Barkley was hurt. Hold on. We just got Galladay. He was hurt.
Our starting receivers the year we went to the Super Bowl was Ted Ginn and Philly Brown. Do you even know who the hell Philly Brown is?
No.
Did he have Steve Smith at one point?
Not when they got good. His rookie year, his first 3 years had Steve Smith, but his best years he had, Steve Smith was already gone.
Did Cam win Rookie of the Year?
Yes, he did.
So he had Steve Smith. He had a Hall of Famer on his team
At that particular time. But the year they went to the Super Bowl, the year he won MVP, Ted Ginn and Philly Brown were his starting receivers, and Jericho Coffey was third receiver.
And what did Cam do in that Super Bowl?
How many have Daniel Jones been to?
His career not over yet. Cam's career is clearly over.
But at this stage in Cam's career, Cam had gotten to one at that stage in his career by year 5.
He got the silver medal. That's nothing to brag about.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones didn't even get on stage.
His career's not over yet.
But we're comparing at this stage in his career. At the time that Newton was in year 5, this is what he had already done.
Cam Newton's played twice as long as Daniel Jones already.
Did you not hear what I said? I said through 5 years of his career, I said at the same point, when he was in year 5, he had already done this. Happened in year 5. So we're comparing at the same stage.
So basically, first 5 years for Newton and first 5 years for
Right. That's what I'm comparing. Even in the first 5 years.
Well, it's no secret that Cam is a better athlete than Daniel Jones is.
He's a better player than Daniel Jones. I'm talking about
Hey, listen, you're not going to hear me disagree there. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right, and Daniel Jones. The only reason Daniel Jones is still in the league and still getting opportunities is because he's a white quarterback.
Damn. They put the white card in it.
No, I'm dead serious. If Daniel Jones was a black quarterback, he would be already out of the league because they'd be talking about his skills, his inability to read the field, his inability to process, his holding on to Baltimore. Since he run the ball so much, they've said he's an athlete and a runner, and he needs to focus more on pocket passing. If he was a black quarterback, that's what the narrative would be.
So
especially with him being a heavy runner.
For the record, he didn't get drafted to be a running quarterback.
I didn't say what he got drafted to be. I'm talking about what he is.
Well, he is what he is now because he can't stay in the pocket long enough to throw the damn ball.
That may be true, but if he was a black quarterback,
that's a fact. He had zero protection.
But if he was a black quarterback, he wouldn't be getting that benefit of the doubt with the narrative.
I agree with that.
If he was a black quarterback, the narrative would be that he's just a runner. He needs to focus more on pocket passing. He needs to process to see the field better and needs to get it out quickly. If he was a black quarterback, if that was Lamar Jackson in that same situation, he wouldn't be getting chance after chance after chance. He would already be on somebody else's team as a backup somewhere.
Yeah, he'd have been riding.
Just like Robert Griffin III. He would be in that. Daniel Jones, if he was black, he would be Robert Griffin III right now.
I miss RG3. That was a good ass quarterback. His first 2
for 1 year. My point is the only reason he's still getting defended is they drafted him. He's a white quarterback and they're giving him chance. And this is not a racist statement. This is just there's a difference between how white quarterbacks are treated and the narrative on them and the narrative on black quarterbacks.
Yeah, because when Daniel Jones got hurt, they actually I mean, Mike Glennon was his backup quarterback. They could have called somebody up that was way better.
Right. But they want Daniel Jones to be the guy. Like I said, if this was a black quarterback who's been this poor, whether it's because of poor offensive line play, whatever the case may be, whether it's because of poor receiver play, whether it's because of a lack of a defense, lack of a running game, whether it's because of defense will happen, no matter what it was, if the same results would have been yielded from a black quarterback 5 years through, he wouldn't still be the starter in year 6, and you know that.
I listen, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'll agree with you there.
So the overall point I'm making is the only reason that Daniel Jones is still getting the chance he's getting is simply because he's white. The late Dwayne Haskins got given up on in the middle of his second year.
Yeah, that's true.
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
Got given up on in the middle of a second. And yes, he had maturity issues. God rest his soul. And I hope he's resting in eternal peace.
What young quarterback doesn't have maturity issues?
True. But he was given up on in his second year. In the middle of his second year and was given up on. I'm about to say, yet Daniel Jones continues to get chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. Jamarcus Russell got given up on after his second year.
Well,
Daniel Jones keeps giving chance after chance after chance after chance.
Jamarcus stunk.
So does Daniel Jones.
No, he ain't. But Daniel Jones ain't 2-14 bad.
5-11. Whoop you do.
And Daniel Jones ain't have Randy Moss.
Jamarcus didn't have Randy Moss either. Randy was in New England at the time.
Are you sure?
They didn't play together.
Randy Moss and Jamarcus didn't play together at all.
I'm trying to think. What year? They may have played 1 year together, I think. His rookie year.
I had season tickets. I could tell you Randy Moss was there.
Okay, his rookie season. And Jamarcus didn't even start every game as rookie. He didn't start until like late in the season.
I know he was the quarterback when it was 2-14 Raiders.
No, Aaron Brooks was starting quarterback. They were 2-14.
TH, you really gonna go there with me, man?
When they went 2-14 06, Aaron Brooks and Andrew Walter split the time starting quarterback. Look it up. You remember Andrew Walter from Arizona? Your alma mater?
No, that's Arizona State. We can't stand them.
But you remember Andrew Walter, though, don't you?
I do remember Andrew Walter. I also
In
remember Kerry Collins. I remember all
Jamarcus
those
Russell's
Raiders
rookie
quarterbacks.
year was 2007. Randy Moss's first year in New England was 2007. So in 2006, Aaron Brooks, Art Shell was the head coach. He came back for 1 year. Art Shell was the head coach.
TH, I had season tickets, man. I was there.
You can still look it up.
I was there for all of those home games.
What Ross? What 2000? What year?
2006 was Aaron Brooks started the season off at quarterback, and then they switched to Andrew Walter in the middle of the year. They even Aaron Brooks last game was against Seattle when they lost that game 16-0 on Monday Night Football. When Brooks got sacked 7 times in the first half or 5 times in the first half.
The 2006 starting roster, the quarterback starting was Andrew Walter.
2007, December 2nd.
And Randy Moss was traded.
Jamarcus came in the game for Josh McCown.
Right, but Randy wasn't there. Randy's New England in 07 16-0.
2007 was the year they went. Yeah, the Patriots went undefeated and they lost to my Giants.
And that was Randy Moss's first year there.
It up, didn't you?
He and Dante Stallworth were the starting receivers, and Wes Welker played in the slot.
Hold on, what year was this? Hold on, let me bring this.
07. So and then Jamarcus Russell in 08 threw 14 touchdowns and maybe like 7 picks or so, and then after that they gave up on him. It's not like, huh?
Yeah, the starting quarterback in 2007 was Josh McCown.
Yeah, till December. Then they lost him. They brought him in the game Monday Night Football.
And then in 08, when he was the full-time starter, he started to open the game against the Chargers, I think.
08?
Yep.
08,
and they won that game, too, with him his first
in
game.
08, yeah.
And no, he wasn't great, but I'm talking about, but they gave up on him so early. And don't get me wrong, he's a junkie, he drinks syrup and all that stuff, I think. Don't get me wrong. But my point is, at the time they gave up on him, it was way early.
Threw for 2,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And what basically was his rookie year, was second year, first 4 years starting.
Lane Kiffin was the coach that year.
Right. Yep. And they typically, if a young quarterback that's in the second year put that type of stat line up that year, he's not giving up on the next year.
And Tom Cable was, I think he came in.
But before we go, let me pose a question. You said 2,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 picks. That's nothing to shout about. But as effectively a rookie second-year player, as someone typically, would you give up on a 22-year-old that quickly just from that performance?
No.
That organization would.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about in general. I'm talking about in general.
No.
Not really. No.
Right. So my point is, but yet Daniel Jones is still here getting chance after chance after chance. This is not even about Jamarcus Russell. The greater overall point is that Daniel Jones is being afforded opportunities that black quarterbacks wouldn't be afforded under the same circumstance.
I agree with that.
Okay, because that's why I named several of them.
I'm not arguing. Listen, I'm not arguing about him, not getting too many chances, because they clearly could have brought somebody in to replace him. They clearly could have did that. But like you said, he got some opportunities that some black quarterbacks wouldn't have got.
Absolutely. Like I say, if like Robert Griffin III wouldn't be getting that.
They could have worked out They could have worked out Kaepernick.
There you go. Well, we know that's not going to happen, but there you go.
I'm just saying they could have. If you want to, dig in a quarterback back, he was readily available.
Yeah,
and still is too.
And probably wouldn't have did worse than Daniel Jones.
Nah, he'd been running for his life like him, but at least he got the mobility.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, when you don't have a line, you're not going to, and you're running for your life. It doesn't matter who you are, you're going to struggle.
You ain't got a line or running back.
Right.
And you ain't turning around handing the ball to nobody.
Right.
Basically, you have offense.
Yeah, you are the offense.
Yeah, basically, you have offense.
But that lets you know, in the world of the NFL, the stigma with different quarterbacks well, what's considered acceptable and what's considered not, and who's going to get longevity and who's not.
Yeah, agreed.
And when people try to say that doesn't exist, speaking of Mitch Trubisky probably going to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, now he is.
And I'm about to say he ain't done a darn thing in this league to deserve that opportunity.
But if Haskins was still living, he'd be the starting quarterback.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I think Trubisky would have opened the season as starting quarterback. Then if he'd stunk it up, they'd have gone with Haskins.
Yeah,
give him time. He'll screw it up by week 3. He'll screw it up by week 3.
Speaking of Mitch Trubisky, that whole stigma thing coming out of the draft, and he and Watson were in the same draft, and he and Watson both played in a shotgun option route type offense, and they both were dual threat guys who and Trubisky, they definitely ran like zone read and stuff for him in North Carolina. But when they description of Watson, they were like, can he handle a pro offense? And it's a single read offense with a lot of option routes and stuff with zone read and stuff. It's gonna be a difficult transition. And he might be a guy you have to sit and wait on him. They were saying, but then they described Mitch Trubisky as pro ready and should be the second pick in the draft when he played in the exact same offense in North Carolina and was a guy who ran for like 500 yards. So when he was at North Carolina and ran in the zone read as well, but they didn't describe him as that. The only difference is their skin color. That's just they ran the same offense, but one was considered pro ready and the other was considered a project.
Yeah, they gave Watson a bad rep.
But the project won the overall championship in college football. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about national championship, bro. I mean, there are a lot of guys who won. Ken Dorsey's won a national championship as a quarterback in college football. So I mean, I'm not going to go there, but so did Jameis Winston. But
shout out to Jameis Winston.
Oh, you thought you was gonna have a live stream without Jameis getting mentioned?
Jameis is too erratic. He turns the ball over way too much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He led the league in turnovers 1 year, didn't he?
He's not gun shy.
No, he's showing.
He ain't gun. He gonna throw it.
So but you know the funny thing about it, he's no more erratic than Brett Favre. It's just I
was just getting ready to say that. Like,
it's just that Brett Favre won a lot of games.
Yeah.
So do you think Watson got overpaid or it was a good amount?
You know what? He heisted him, and I don't blame
him. Stick him up. Stick him up.
That was a big ass contract to give him.
He heisted him, and I don't blame him.
Why not? If they willing to pay you, I mean, but he can back it up though. He can back it up.
I hope.
On paper, he can. On paper, he can.
Like I said, he heisted him. He's in Cleveland now, though, but he heisted him. We don't even know how many games he's gonna play this year, but he heisted him, and I don't blame him.
Is he suspended this year or not?
Not yet. I mean, he hasn't been suspended yet.
He still got to go to court, right?
Well, he got civil case suspended, but he's already been cleared of all criminal charges.
Well, as long as he stay out of trouble, he should be able to play.
You know how Goodell is. He did say he suspended Roethlisberger 4 games. He was never charged with a crime.
Yep. He did it twice.
Yeah. That ain't funny, but yeah, he did.
First of all, the Culturally Controversial podcast does not condone sexual assault or sexual harassment in any form. We believe that women have a right to be protected, have a right to feel safe, and we do not endorse any kind of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, sexual harassment, or any kind of sexual misbehavior towards anyone and towards women. And we believe in the safety of women, and we believe that we have the ultimate responsibility to make sure women are protected.
Indeed.
Good disclaimer. No, now where's Baker going?
Don't know and don't care.
They said
he going to the Jets.
He reminds me. Baker Mayfield is like NFL Ben Simmons as far as the whininess, the smug. He's smug and whiny. All he does is whine.
But they said if the Browns release Baker this like today, the Steelers would pick him up. I
don't know. Mike Tomlin. I don't know.
Mike Tomlin ain't gonna handle it. Yo, Mike Tomlin ain't for that, man.
Yeah, nah.
He ain't for that. He'll put him on the first thing smoking up out of there, bro.
Yeah, and Baker doesn't come off as the type who wants to be coached by someone like Mike Tomlin.
I agree.
So where do you think he'll go?
Just like he wouldn't want to be coached by someone like Vance Joseph. He wouldn't want to be coached by someone like Art Shell or like Tony Dungy, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
You don't want the brother man to tell him what
he
to
wouldn't want to be coached by someone like Brian Flores. He wouldn't want to be coached by someone like Romeo Crennel. He seems like he wouldn't want to be coached by someone like that.
That's
Wow.
So what you think? Like, what you think? A free agent for the
Let
year?
him go to Seattle.
You think go see
That's not a good situation anymore.
No,
Mm-mm.
exactly.
might as well.
But here's the thing: if you're a quarterbacks typically don't hit free agency. So if you're a quarterback and you're a free agency, there aren't going to be any good situations for you. All the good teams got their quarterbacks they want.
So about Houston?
That's a train wreck. All the good situations already have the quarterbacks they want. So if you're a quarterback in free agency, there aren't going to be any good jobs available. The only jobs going to be available are the leftover ones that nobody wants. The good teams already have who they want.
Like the
Yeah.
Jets.
No,
Nobody
hell
want to go
no.
to the Jets. That's where
Ryan.
the Lions got the worst coach in all of professional. Dan Campbell is the worst coach in professional football. He's worse
Yes,
than
he
Matt
is.
Rule.
Yeah.
Dang. Up, man.
He's
That's
been
a
on my
lie.
list since last season, ever since he threw his quarterback under the bus, man. I couldn't stand that press conference, man. He just flat out blamed Goff for them losing that game, man. Didn't take no responsibility.
Right, well, Dan Campbell has no business being. I don't feel sorry for the Lions because when they fired Jim Caldwell for no effing reason, first back-to-back winning season since 1995, including the playoff season, and they fired him. Then they brought in Matt Patricia. None of Belichick's coaches do or worth a darn as head coach. They brought him in, didn't do anything. Now they brought this guy, and they haven't done anything since they fired Jim Caldwell. So I don't feel sorry for him.
Agreed. The
None
line,
of Bill Belichick's coaches?
yeah. Patricia was the defensive coordinator. Then what's his name had a head coaching job in Denver, McDaniels, but he didn't do that when he had
Bill O'Brien's the only one that's had any remote success as a head coach in the NFL, and he was just mediocre.
He got a couple appearances.
Romeo Crennel didn't do anything, so
No.
He was a
Charlie White. Where did Charlie Weiss go? Didn't he go to the college?
Notre Dame got fired there. Then he was offense coordinator at Florida, and then he was head coach at Kansas. Got fired there too. Everybody gets fired at Kansas, but yeah.
I know you probably heard the story about when he came to the high school.
Yeah, when he came to high school to see Barkwell, I remember that. And
Trenton, yeah, but something happened with Trenton, and he wasn't interested.
I don't know. I'm not trying to find out, and that's Anson County guy, so I don't want to blast them on here. So if it's something negative, don't mention it here.
Nah, I'm not.
We don't talk about our own people, like our own Anson County guys. We're not going to put our own Anson County guys on blast on this platform. It's your platform, but I'm not going to be a part of you putting down an Anson guy.
I can't see Baker going somewhere and helping a team.
I can't either. All he's going to do is whine and cry about something.
Not any of the teams that's out. I mean, not any teams now. Not any team that's currently in a good spot. He can't go to another team and make them better.
And then he got enough nerve to do that interview talking about he felt disrespected about it. Man, shut the hell up. All he does is whine and complain. He's been like that ever since he was at we started off at Texas Tech, but when he left, right? He finished at Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's out here shooting commercials inside the stadium and doing Hulu commercials. I'm like, dude, you ain't did nothing. You ain't even make the playoffs yet.
He made it one time.
Yeah, he did. They beat the Steelers.
Ugh.
Wow.
Off that he got a commercial.
Yep. There's certain quarterbacks. Never mind. I've beaten this into a dead horse.
I think you made your point.
He'll be a good backup somewhere. I would pay you.
Like where?
Somebody needs backup.
Yeah, somebody gonna cut the check for him. He's gonna be an expensive backup.
Yeah.
Buffalo, maybe.
Another Brock Osweiler.
Yeah. I know. Speaking of Brock Osweiler, I know I've beaten this into a dead horse, but come on, that's the obvious one. I know I sound like Stephen A. Smith when I said that. Come on, brother, that is obvious.
Wait, did I hear something about Jamie Foxx going at Stephen A. Smith?
Yep.
Yeah, but Stephen A. Smith said they talked about it.
Stephen A. Smith have it coming, man. He be on TV cooning like crazy, man. Like crazy.
I don't think it was wrong.
Oh, I ain't saying he had every right to say what he said. He's picky. He's picky about what he talks about, though.
He picks his lane.
Mm-hmm.
That situation was granted in that, but you know.
Hey, now everybody else's audio sounded messed up. Maybe just my phone just acting up.
My audio good or is bad?
My audio good?
I can hear you. I can hear y'all. I hear you too, T.
Microphone check 212.
Yeah, CHL audio is good.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Everybody else sound like Roger Troutman. Let's see if anybody caught that reference.
Got that latency.
Yeah, I don't know that. It'd be good to see what's gonna happen in the draft tomorrow. I don't know who will be the overall pick number 1.
Nick, I can't hear you, man. Like you sound like Roger and Zap, man.
Giants got the 5th pick and the 7th pick.
Who got the number 1 pick? Jaguars.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. I thought the Lions had the first pick. I'm surprised they don't.
Lions number 2, right?
Yeah, Lions 2.
I wonder who's gonna go first. Do you think that it'd probably be a defensive player?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first. I think the first 4 are gonna be offensive and defensive linemen.
That dude from Georgia probably gonna be someone that.
I think that's who the Giants looking to get, the edge rusher from Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good pickup. That nose tackle too in there.
Mm-hmm.
The nose tackle.
A couple of Georgia boys going the first round.
Yeah.
That defensive end from Oregon.
He's up there too.
Yeah. What's his name? How about to say? Is it Thibodeau? Not Thibodeau. It is
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Yeah. I think T backed that.
Yeah.
He has audio. I don't know, man. I think that'd be interesting, man. Because like I said, usually
ain't no quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, ain't really no quarterbacks. It's just a lot of defensive players.
I'm surprised ain't no quarterbacks this year.
I think one year they did that. I want to say it was like the year Vernon Davis got drafted. It was a lot of defensive players because Mario Williams was like the first pick that year.
I remember that.
Yep, Mario Williams was the first pick. I think that year was a defensive pick defensive draft that year too. I know for sure. I'm trying to think what year did Ed Reed come to the league? I think that year was a defensive draft too.
Oh yeah, because damn near the whole Miami defense was picked in the first round.
Yeah, Jonathan Vilma, Ed Reed.
Was Roll there too?
DeMar.
No, not that Roll. The other one, Antro.
Yeah, Antro. I think was smart. Yep.
Antro Roll. I just heard that a former Miami Hurricane Antro Roll played corner there, but played safety with the Giants. What about him?
Well, we're talking about how many defensive players was drafted that year that Ed Reed was drafted.
Yeah.
Antero Roll was not drafted the same year as Ed Reed. Ed Reed was drafted in 2002. Antero came in the league in 2005. Didn't
Vilma go that year?
I don't know what year Vilma came out, but I know Antero came in 2005. John Beeson was drafted in 2005. No, Beeson was 2007. I take that back. But Antero came out in 2005. Antero Roll, Kellen Winslow Jr. I think all of them came. I know this offense, but I'm just saying that was
right.
all.
02 had a lot of.
02 was like Andre. I know some of his offense too, but I'm just saying Andre Johnson,
Freeney, Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Peppers.
Yep.
Roy Williams. You're not Roy Williams, the safety, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to specify the Roy Williams.
Not That's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, the safety, not the Texas wide receiver. Peppers went number 2.
Damn. Philip Buchanan.
Philip Buchanan came in the league later than that.
No, he drafted 02.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Did he play with the Raiders and the Texans?
Yeah.
I want to get the 2006 draft because I think that draft was a full bunch of defensive players in that draft too. It wasn't like an offensive draft. That year.
I mean, from 01 to like 08, it was like Miami was just like dominating the draft.
I'll say it's about 07, yeah. 07 was like the last year where they were looking where their draft was filled. Then after that, they kind of fell back to the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like 07 was John Beeson, Greg Olson that year.
Oh yeah, that 2006 draft was full of defensive players. You had, I think it was, so you had, as far as offensive players, you only had Vernon Davis, Reggie Bush, and Vince Young, and everybody else was pretty much linebackers.
Vince Young, damn.
Wait a minute, you had Matt Lyon and Jay Cutler was that year too.
Oof.
Jay Cutler couldn't even win at Vanderbilt. I never understood the infatuation with him.
That was another one.
Baker Mayfield reminds me of Jay Cutler as far as being a prick.
And Jay Cutler probably had a better arm than.
Yeah, he got a better arm. I'm talking about as far as being a prick. They're both prickly the same way.
Yeah. I agree with that. He was an asshole.
Who else? Jonathan Joseph.
Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yep.
04 wasn't bad either.
Who's 04? Let me see. 04.
Palomalu was from USC, and McGahee and Terrell Suggs.
Willis McGahee came out before 04. Willis McGahee came out like in the 02 draft.
McGahee was 04. Portis was 02.
Was 02?
Portis was 02.
McGahee came in before 04 though, because you remember it was the 01 national championship game. It was the game was played in 02, but it was 01 season in the national championship game where he tore all his ligaments in his knee and he never returned to play. He went straight to draft, drafted by Buffalo, like 28th overall. That was like the 02 draft.
04 was Willis McGahee. Trust me.
I
wouldn't steer you wrong.
I think we've already been steered wrong.
03. Sorry, 03. You're right.
Okay, so we're both wrong, but I knew it wasn't 04.
03.
Yeah, 04 was Larry Fitzgerald, Eli, Phillip Rivers, Sean Taylor, Roy Williams, the receiver.
That draft was loaded.
D'Angelo Hall,
Sean Taylor.
Yep, Sean Taylor, Jonathan Vilma,
Vince Wilfork.
Yep, Vince Wilfork. Vernon Carey, Steven Jackson,
Roethlisberger,
Chris Gamble, Mike Jenkins.
Michael Jenkins won. You talking Michael Jenkins, the receiver?
Yeah, from Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, from Ohio State. He's not a part of being loaded. But go ahead.
Who else? Ben Watson. I just named some names.
Ben Watson. That's another Rock Hill, South Carolina guy.
Bob Sanders,
the safety that stayed hurt all the time.
Yep.
But it was good when he played.
Who else was
wow, Matt Schaub was in that draft.
Yep.
The former Virginia Cavalier, Matt Schaub.
Third rounder.
He was okay with the Texans. He was all right.
I like Matt Schaub.
I ain't gonna say I like him, but he was all right.
Yep, third round.
Jared Allen.
Yep.
The defensive end, Jared Allen.
Mm-hmm. Isn't he a Hall of Famer?
Not yet. I mean, he might get in. He last played with the Carolina Panthers. His last game was with the Panthers the year 15. The year we went to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Who else is in this draft? There's a lot of people in this
Michael Turner.
Yep.
Michael the Burner Turner, the running back, former San Diego Charger.
Fifth round.
And Atlanta Falcon. Huh?
Fifth round. In the fifth round, they got him.
Yeah, but running backs, are slip anyway.
Northern Illinois.
That's why I thought the Giants were crazy to take a running back with number 2 pick in the draft.
They couldn't pass up one Saquon though. They couldn't.
Oh, what good has it done him?
Well, he got hurt.
Well, there you go. You could have got another durable back further down.
Well, he didn't get banged up, and he didn't get too banged up in college. That's why they picked him.
Yeah, Penn State. I know he's great at Penn State, but I'm talking about. But he hasn't been a person to move the needle for you. I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm just saying that he hasn't been a game changer back. He hasn't moved the needle for you as far as the fortune of the franchise.
Of course, he hasn't been healthy enough to move the needle. You can't help your club in the tub. You know that.
Well, that furthers my point to why I wouldn't take a back that high. That's already a position where it's hard for players to stay healthy.
So in 2017, let's look at the 2017 draft and see which running back you would have drafted ahead of Saquon Barkley.
I'm not saying draft ahead of Saquon Barkley. I'm saying that whoever the first running back was shouldn't have gone at 2. Should have gone later. Is what I'm saying.
Let's see. Who's it?
I'm not saying that he wasn't the best back in the draft. What I'm saying is I wouldn't take a running back at number 2. I would draft another position at number 2 or trade down and get him.
Actually, you could have picked Christian McCaffrey.
I didn't even like the Carolina picked him at number 8. That's too high to pick a running back.
Damn, number 8's too high.
And he's been hurt. And
you
know what Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley got in common? They're both off injured.
Yeah. So is Leonard Fournette. He was number 4.
There you go. That's making my point. You can get quality backs in later rounds.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook went number 41. He was in the second round.
And a lot of that was because of some character questions that came up. He should have been a first rounder he was projected to be a first rounder, but some reports came out about some character issues and shit.
Wow. Alvin Kamara was in the 3rd round.
Yep.
And that's because of character issues too. He started out at Alabama, got in some issues, then went to Tennessee.
Cooper Kupp was in the 3rd round.
Yeah, it was a slot receiver. I mean, I can see that happen.
James Conner was in the 3rd round.
He was coming off of a cancer diagnosis.
I'm just looking at some of these backs. Good gracious.
Yeah, James Conner had just gotten over cancer, so his stock wasn't just as high.
Joe Mixon, 2nd round.
Well, we know why he dropped. He dropped because he punched that girl in the face and got caught on camera.
That's a fact.
Joe Mixon's a player.
Stop laughing.
Wow.
Yeah, also the people CCP Culture Controversial Podcast. We do not condone domestic violence. We do not condone violence of any sort. We feel that any controversial problem should be handled via proper communication, and we do not condone violence against women or domestic violence of any sort. And we find it unexcusable, and we feel that anyone who's guilty of it should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Will Smith, so I know you heard that. Will Smith, I know you heard that.
Yeah, I'm protecting
draft
us,
picks
man.
that snuck under the radar after Saquon, but you'd be if you had a crystal ball, you probably would have picked him.
I'm not picking any running back at number 2, especially look how bad that team was. I mean, they had probably needs all over the place.
So if you're okay, knowing what you know about the 2017 draft, right? Who, you being the Giants, right? You already got Daniel Jones, right? So you're not picking a quarterback.
Why not?
Damn.
He said another one.
In 2017, how long was Daniel Jones in the league?
Long enough for me to know that he won't work for Dan.
Okay, well, see, this is why you're not a GM.
Well, hey, hold on. What? No, let me respond to this. That may be true, but the GM that you had, David Gettleman, what has he done with y'all?
To this
That's
date,
my thought.
not much. Not much. But my question was, what running back would you have drafted?
The point I'm making, I'm just an armchair guy. The guy who's actually paid to be a GM didn't do anything to shout about either. But go ahead.
Okay, so would you answer my question then?
Present it again.
Knowing what you know now, when Saquon came out in the draft, which running back would you have chosen had you not chosen him?
My point is, I wouldn't have chosen a running back at all with that pick.
Okay, so you would have picked the quarterback instead.
Could have picked the quarterback. Could have picked the pass rusher. Could have picked the tackle. Who's available?
But your team need is based on you need a running back.
But as bad as you complain about offensive line, evidently you said they had a line for Daniel Jones. I mean, they must need a lineman too.
Well, they didn't need linemen until Saquon's 2nd year.
So what? Then why were they still losing in Saquon's 1st year?
What do you mean losing his 1st year?
You said they didn't need a line to his 2nd year. So what did they do? What did they do in 2018?
2018, Saquon ran for 1,300 yards.
I'm not talking about what his production. I'm talking about the team. Like, what did the team do that year?
Give me a second. I can't spit their record off the top of my head like that.
So I probably would have took. There was a guard taking at 6. I probably would have took the guard.
I don't know about taking a guard at 2, but still, I'll take a tackle at 2.
Mike McGlinchey.
You could have traded down and got more picks and still got him.
Who else is up here? There's Minkah Fitzpatrick was up in Vita Vea, defensive players.
Yeah, Minkah Fitzpatrick's a guy. I mean, you can't go wrong with him.
No. Vita Vea.
Can't go wrong with Derwin James.
Yeah, Derwin James. Who else was up there?
Because running backs come a dime a dozen. You can get a running back off the street.
Yeah, you could have got Isaiah Wynn. He went down to 23. We picked him up.
Mike Shanahan used to take guys like Orlando Gary and went for 1,100 yards with him. They took Reuben Jones and made him a 1,200-yard back.
Yeah, they did.
They drafted Tatum Bell and made him a 1,000-yard back.
Tatum Bell, what school did he go to?
Oklahoma State.
Cowboys.
Come after me. I'm a man.
Oh, that was hilarious. 5-11, man. 2018 was our
So
record.
anytime you go 5-11, that means you got needs probably in multiple places.
Yeah, that was let me see here.
When you're winning 4 or 5 games like that, that means you got needs across the board. And most time, if I got multiple needs, even if running back is one of the needs, that's not going to be the first one I address.
But you didn't have a running back. I mean, not a legit one.
You could have got one the next year for all that goes. I mean, running backs come a dime a dozen is what the point I'm making.
Yeah, but you're not drafting for the next year. You're drafting for the future.
But even if you're drafting for the future, you can get a running back later on. You could have traded down and still got the same guy and acquire more picks.
I think with the average lifespan of the average
career span. You got 5 good years with any
years.
running back you take.
5 to 6, yeah, you're right.
5, yeah. So he already.
And to me, if I draft somebody number 2 overall, I want somebody that's going to last longer than 6 years.
At least 10. Give me 10 or 8. Yeah, give me 8.
Yeah, you're lucky if you get. I mean, you better have an exquisite offensive line for you.
Yeah, I mean, but in the modern era, Adrian Peterson's the only running back I know to defy those odds in the modern era.
Yeah. This is what year? It's like year.
Where he has some, he made some bad investments, so he kind of had to play. But you get my point. He went for 1,000 yards with the Commanders a couple of years ago.
Frank Gore, Frank Gore played a long time too.
Yeah, so those are anomalies, and Frank Gore was drafted like in the 3rd round too. But the point I'm making,
he had a Hall of Fame, couple of Hall of Fame linemen on his team too.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, he's just like so did Emmitt Smith. I mean, that's the way it goes. But the point I'm making is that if I'm drafting someone number 1, number 2 overall like that.
Oh, you know who Saquon Barkley's quarterback was his rookie year?
Who was it?
Take a wild guess.
Eli Manning?
You betcha.
The 2-time Super Bowl champion Eli Manning?
Yeah.
Hey, good for him.
Good for him.
Well, Eli.
I don't have a response to that. I mean, good for Saquon. He got to play with Eli. I mean, I'm sure he got to share some stories with him.
The next year was Daniel Jones. That was Eli's retirement year.
Yeah, so all that sounds great, man.
Eli Manning.
So I mean, nevertheless, I still would have taken all the needs you had. So that means you needed a quarterback too. When you knew when you had your face of your franchise, you knew was on his way out at that point.
Yeah. So in 2018 NFL draft, the Giants picked Saquon Barkley.
Number 2.
Who else was available at that time?
Running back wise?
Or no, just in general. Just like quality players.
Okay, so players drafted after Saquon Barkley because Baker was the first pick.
Denzel Ward.
Josh Allen.
That's a hindsight. It's 2021, so I'm not gonna hold that against you.
Okay.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
That's a heck of a player.
I'm trying to see names here that would have made a difference if they would have.
I'm not gonna hold Josh Allen against you because I don't think anybody thought Josh Allen was gonna be what he is.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but we know the Giants weren't going to take a quarterback that looked like Lamar Jackson.
Okay, Nick Chubb.
Good running back. You could have traded down and got Nick Chubb.
Let's see who else. I'm not seeing any names that I would have picked after any names. There's no names I would have picked outside of Lamar Jackson. Everybody else.
Well, Lamar Jackson went 31.
Oh, Fred
I'm not
Warner.
worried about the
Fred
name.
Warner.
What about
Fred Warner?
What about the quality of the player, not necessarily the recognition of the name?
Fred Warner.
Who?
Fred Warner.
Who's that?
Well, he's a current linebacker for the 49ers.
I ain't a linebacker. The only way I'm taking a linebacker that high is if he's an edge rusher.
There's no players here I would have drafted.
You want to draft a Minka Fitzpatrick, Derwin James?
Not over Saquon. No way.
Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah, that's a lineman.
Oh, it's Orlando.
Daddy.
Damn, the Bulls lost.
Hal Vander Esch? No.
Well,
not seeing him.
Well,
Nick Chubb may be the only one that jumps out.
Well, like 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later, you're still picking in the top 5 or 6. So
who else on here?
No, nobody, man. I'm not seeing nobody that.
Yeah, I don't see nobody. I'm looking down this list, and
you pass on Barkley in this draft, you're getting fired.
Well, you won about the same amount of games you'd have won if you would have passed on him.
Not so much.
You went 5-11. Okay, you were going 4-12, or you wouldn't have got.
Actually, let me take that back. The only name I probably would have drafted over Saquon is Josh Allen.
Yeah, and that's what the benefit of hindsight. But
you ain't know what Josh Allen would be, so
exactly.
Right, that's what I said because I didn't like him at Wyoming. But
I would have needed a quarterback. I would have needed a quarterback, right? Because Eli's retired.
Yeah, probably needed one a couple years before then. But yeah, and but
no comment.
What he accomplished was great, but we're talking about at the end. It was time.
Man,
it wasn't 2011 when we're talking, which was we're talking even like 17, 16. So it was time.
Make sure you tune in. Make sure you tune in about 2 more years. Or is it next year? He'll be eligible.
Who?
The guy he's trying to throw under the bus right now.
No.
Make sure you tune in, okay?
If he got in, it certainly wouldn't be first ballot. Now
there is no if. There is no if, sir.
We've already had this,
sir. There is no if. I know he'll be in before Tony Romo. I can guarantee you that.
Well, Tony Romo doesn't deserve to be in either. So I mean,
he's gonna get the nod, man, just because he's in the booth. That's the bottom line. He's in the booth.
Well, he should get in as a contributor, not as a player.
A commentator.
He's the best quarterback the Cowboys have had in a long time.
Yeah, and still didn't accomplish any more than the one they got now.
How many? Well, I can't even compare Dak and Romo.
It's not like Romo won one playoff game, I think, the whole time he was there.
That's what I'm talking about, pal. Romo's
gonna get in. He's not getting on the first ballot.
He doesn't deserve to get in at all. But
I agree, but he's gonna get in.
How can a guy like Romo get in, but Donovan McNabb not get in?
True.
Yeah,
McNabb was in a Super Bowl.
I mean, as you said earlier, the skin color too.
Yeah, so and with the Eli thing, I get and we done already debated this, and the point I'm gonna make, yes, Eli won 2 Super Bowls, it's your body of work, not just 2 seasons. And like I said, if that's the case, Jim Plunkett should be in too if we're gonna go there.
Wait a minute now. Eli wasn't just good 2 seasons. They look at your body of work.
After they won that Super Bowl in 2011, he only made playoffs one time after that, the rest of his career.
They don't judge you by getting to the Super Bowl and winning. They judge your body of work.
Like I said, after he won that last Super Bowl in 2011, he only made playoffs one time after that. That's a fact.
What else do you need from him after? Okay, what else do you need from him after beating the best quarterback all time twice?
Well, like you said, body of work, not just 2 games.
I'm just saying that's just cherry. That's cherries on top. We ain't gonna. I mean, we can go into the stats.
Yeah, the Cowboy.
We've already done it already, man. We've had this.
Hey, stop with all the Cowboy slander, man. Come on, man.
I'm not slandering the Cowboys. I'm just. I gave your boy a bone. I said he's gonna get it. I'm just saying he's not getting in the first ballot.
He should off his numbers alone.
What numbers? Better than McNabb's numbers?
Chilltown, look it up, bruh.
Romo
Don't make me compare Romo and McNabb. Do not make me do that.
How about this? A guy like Vinny Testaverde's not in the Hall of Fame, so a guy like and he has numbers. A guy like Romo shouldn't be either.
I mean, hey, I'm just politicking for it.
If we're gonna base it solely on numbers, then Kirk Cousins is a Hall of Famer.
Oh my God! Oh,
no, I don't believe he is.
I'm gonna take a shot of bleach. Hold on now. Wait a minute.
Right.
I'm talking about based on raw numbers. I'm saying if we're gonna go there.
I see what you're getting at. I mean,
but Kirk Cousins doesn't impact the game. But I'm talking about, but just on raw numbers, he puts up video game numbers.
But Tony did though. Tony made an impact. Regular season.
Like, what's the impact he made besides working on CBS?
I'm talking about when he was playing.
Look, dude. It's okay to like the Cowboys. That's your right. I'm not knocking you on that, and it's okay to like Tony. But he came, he played decent, and he retired.
I mean, like I said, the regular season he did his thing. It's just the playoffs where he kind of regressed a lot.
It wasn't like he was making the playoffs year in year out.
I mean,
Like I said, 07 he was good.
Who was in contention?
I just know my guys going in first.
Sometimes
it's just not even a discussion. Not even a discussion.
Who?
He shouldn't be going in at all.
Man, you out of your mind. Out of your mind. Come on now. Come on.
Based on what?
I like it.
I mean, just like we said, Donovan McNabb is not in. If we just use that standard alone.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb is a 6-time. Let me finish. Donovan McNabb is a 6-time Pro Bowler. Took his team to a Super Bowl appearance and went to 5 NFC Championship game appearances, and he's not in. Justify it.
You can't.
You know, honestly, I can't justify why McNabb's not in there, but I can tell you why Eli Manning going in there.
Because he won 2 Super Bowls. Jim Plunkett's not in.
It's not just because he won 2 Super Bowls.
Jim Plunkett ain't in, huh? Wow, you got a point.
They kind of blackball the Raiders anyway, man. That's just
they got lucky.
Marcus Allen's in the Hall of Fame. Kenny Stabler's in the Hall of Fame.
Ain't Marcus Allen a Super Bowl MVP?
Oh yeah,
but he's a Raider. But I'm talking about he's a Raider. You said they blackball Raiders.
Yeah, but look how long for them took to get certain Raiders in, though. Look how long it took Tim Brown to get in. Art Shell's in the Hall of Fame as a player. How long did it take Tim Brown? How long did it take Tim Brown to get in?
The Ghost in the Hall of Fame, ain't he?
How long did it take for Tim Brown to get in?
No, it took him a while.
Yeah,
but he's still in. It didn't take him all that long. It's not like he was 80 years old guy. He still had good years in life. Just like look how long it took Chris Carter again. It was similar to the Chris Carter Michael Irvin way.
Wow. Well, I mean, you know why they did Chris Carter like that though. He had that drug problem at first. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, but that ain't got nothing to do with your play.
I mean, yeah, but you know how you know how some, the media do it at first, like the writers and stuff. They bias.
Yeah.
And they, so
the whole Hall of Fame is based on who gets in the Hall of Fame, who doesn't, based on who the media narrative is created. Anyway.
Yeah, the criteria is kind of skewed in my opinion. But I'm just letting you know.
Too.
I'm just letting you know. Eli's getting in 2025. Put it on your calendar.
Somebody else that should have got in.
I don't think he will first ballot if he gets in, but I definitely don't think it'll be first ballot.
2025. Okay, I'm just.
All right, I got a question.
I mean, it sounds good. I don't feel like arguing about it anymore, so I'll let you have it for the time being.
you think Bo Jackson deserves to be in the Hall?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Me too.
I know his career got cut short, but yes. If Terrell Davis is in the vote, that's Gale Sayers, Terrell Davis, and the safety that played for the Seahawks back in the 80s who had kidney disease that played 6 years. That's precedent.
If T.O.'s in the Hall, McNabb should be in the Hall.
Yep. Whoa.
Well, T.O. deserves to be in the Hall, but still.
Exactly. Gio, come on now.
No. What I'm saying is, if T.O. gets in, so does McNabb.
Well, we're talking different positions, so it's kind of hard. But T.O. deserves to be in there, so does McNabb deserves to be in there too.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go there, God rest soul, Steve to Eric McNair.
For sure.
Tony Romo.
Is Eddie George in the Hall?
Yeah, but I don't think he deserves to be.
Eddie George
really?
is in?
I don't think Eddie George. If he's in there, he doesn't deserve to be.
I don't think Eddie George is in, man.
I know another player that.
Well, if he isn't, that's the right thing. I'm glad he is.
I think what's his name that played with the Redskins was defensive tackle.
Oh, he was a semifinalist this past year.
Are you talking about Manley?
Dexter Manley should have been in there, but the drug problem again.
Yeah.
He might. Eddie George might get in next year. Eddie George might get in next year. He was semifinalist.
Eddie George don't deserve to be in nobody's Hall of Fame except maybe Ohio State's Ring of Honor or something.
How?
This man was a 3.5 yards per carry guy. He just got a whole bunch of carries and inflated his numbers.
Eddie George was a beast, bro.
Like I say, he was a 3.5 yard per carry kind of guy, and just he got 30 carries a game. He should have good numbers.
Oh boy, Eddie was a beast. Come on, man. Come on.
He had inflated numbers of a bunch of carries.
I mean, that's your opinion. I ain't not.
No, I mean the number. Now, as far as whether he's good or not is my opinion, but the 3.5 yards a carry ain't my opinion. That's factual.
Right, George is the 19th best all-time rusher. 19th.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get enough carries, you get there.
And the closest he can get is he hasn't even passed Curtis Martin, Marshall Faulk, or Jerome Bettis.
Curtis Martin.
Yep, for the Jets.
Yeah,
and the Patriots.
yeah. Let's not forget about that, Sco.
John Riggins had more yards than Eddie George.
That's crazy. Yeah. John Riggins was a bad boy though.
No doubt.
One of your fullback now?
Yeah.
I think he got converted to a running back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody ahead of him. Well, not everybody. Earl Campbell, Joe Perry, Otis Anderson. Ricky Waters ahead of him, but he's not in.
And the thing about it, Ricky Waters was a contemporary, a back who played like how today's backs are used in the passing game and all that. But at that time, that was an anomaly back then.
Yeah.
Like the way Marshall Falk is used, the way Christian McCaffrey is used, Ricky Waters was that before it became a thing.
Is Ricky in the Hall?
Nope.
Nah, and I'm thinking about Roger Craig. Is what I'm thinking about.
Ricky had more touchdowns than Curtis Martin.
That's crazy.
And Earl Campbell.
And I'll tell you another back. Charlie Garner was one of those backs that were used like that, like receiver / running back.
Charlie Gardner. That boy was raw too.
Yeah.
He ain't a Hall of Famer, but I'm talking about he was good.
He was a Raider too.
Yep. Yeah. And 49.
And he played for Philly?
Was he Eagle too?
Yeah, he played. Yeah, I think he did.
But he got to the Super Bowl with the Raiders with Rich Gannon. The year that Gannon won MVP.
I forgot to be. He did win MVP.
Gannon did in 2002.
Yeah, for the Raiders. Yep.
They had Jerry Rice, Tim Brown at receiver, Charlie Garner at running back.
That was the most lopsided Super Bowl I've ever seen in my life.
When they got scrimmaged against Tampa Bay.
That Seahawks Broncos were pretty bad too.
Oh, we talking about when they had Shawn Alexander?
Oh yeah.
No. Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Seahawks and Broncos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like 52. Yeah. That was like 52-17 or something like that.
Peyton was running for his life.
Peyton had that record-breaking season that year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they couldn't block up front. Like it doesn't matter who you have a quarterback. If you can't block up front, you're doomed.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, the Bengals couldn't block Aaron Donald. They were doomed.
But what about the Falcons?
We couldn't block Von Miller in Carolina. We were doomed.
Yep.
No, Falcons and Patriots was lopsided for 3 quarters.
There's no way.
While Carolina and Denver,
we prevailed.
That was 24-10.
That game was just controlled by the referees to a degree.
And we couldn't block
with the defense dominating.
We couldn't block Von. It came down to Mike Remmers couldn't block Von Miller. Is what it came down to. Von Miller was in the backfield on every play.
Off that game, yeah. Von Miller was having a game of his life. I was like, ooh.
DeMarcus Ware had a good game too, but Von Miller lived in the backfield. We couldn't run the ball either.
Wait, didn't Von Miller just get another chip with the Rams?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo signed him for a shit ton of money, which was stupid.
He could have came to the Cowboys, but we didn't want to pay him. I was hot.
Well, I don't blame you. He's past his prime.
I mean, he's still serviceable though.
Yeah, but the money that Buffalo gave him is ridiculous.
Yeah, but he got to play that weather though.
Jerry would have.
He got to play that weather, and that Buffalo weather is different. You talking about the elements out there?
He played in Denver. It's cold as hell up there too.
Yeah.
It's in 68 won the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Jets.
Well, I don't even know. One of these guys sound like a West Coast rapper. The guy with the C on his name.
Oh, me? Oh,
yeah. I forgot.
You sound like the guy. You know the song "Man City" on Good Kid, Mad City album.
No, it's like MC8.
Yeah, you sound like that guy that rapping with Kendrick on Good Kid on Mad City.
It was crazy.
I forgot Marcus Allen was a Kansas City Chief, man.
Oh yeah, he played with Montana.
That's just like saying I forgot that Emmitt Smith was an Arizona Cardinal.
Yeah, he did too.
Nobody really.
Emmitt did too.
I forgot LaDainian Thompson was a New York Jet.
For real.
Y'all heard about the Packers trying to trade for Waller tomorrow? Who? Darren, the tight end from the
Raiders. Who did?
Who?
The Packers trying to trade for him in the drafts.
They trying to get Darren Lawler?
Yep.
Oof.
Wow.
Speaking of the Raiders, what in the hell has Derek Carr done to get a 3-year, $107 million extension?
Not a thing.
They're not paying him for what he. They're not paying him for what he did. They're paying him for what they want him to do.
Prove your point again.
That goes back to what I was ranting about earlier.
Man.
There go his point again.
Derek Carr hasn't done a. Let me word this right. Derek, because I don't want nobody from church here. Derek Carr hasn't done a doggone thing. We're talking about a man that's never won a playoff game. I know he had 1 year he broke his ankle when they went 12-4, but this guy that never played in the playoff game until this year, never and been in the league 9 years, and he gets an extension like that.
Man,
we got 3 years, like 3 years over $100+ million contract.
Wait, did the Raiders win their playoff game last year?
No,
I think so.
Nah.
They didn't.
No, the Raiders haven't won a playoff game since 2002.
I knew they lost. I
Bengals beat them last year in the playoff.
Didn't they give McDaniels as head coach though? Josh?
I believe so, and they're gonna get worse because of it. He's a lucky guy. Him and why are two privileged MFers.
Right.
I don't know why Adams wanted to go to the Raiders, but
because it's indoors and he's got a quarterback that can get him the ball.
Longevity. Yep. That's all that is.
That's job security right there.
Exactly.
They're gonna keep a good quarterback there for him.
I don't think Derek Carr should got that money. I ain't gonna lie to you.
He ain't done a darn thing in this league.
Well, it's like he getting a second chance at
as far as and people want to go put his numbers, Kirk Cousins put up good numbers too, but he don't win shit.
Stop acting like this the first time a quarterback getting paid a lot of money to do absolutely nothing.
Hey.
Yeah, but they all look the same. The ones that get paid do absolutely nothing.
Hey, you ain't lying. You ain't lying.
Message, you got it.
Message.
Got it.
That's what the problem is. They all look the same.
Exactly.
I think they just gave Kyler Murray 1 year.
Yeah. Right.
And then they want to complain and try to say that Lamar Jackson's not an effective quarterback. But then that MF out there in Oakland, in Vegas,
the Cardinals
2 years, whatever.
The Cardinals just picked up Kyler Murray's his rookie year.
Yeah, they gave him another year until 2023.
One more year, huh?
One more year, and then they're gonna find a way
to the playoffs. They're gonna ship his ass up out of there.
Exactly.
Yep, sure is.
He's like, you want to complain? We'll throw you some bread for 1 year. You get to prove yourself all over again.
Kyler Murray isn't a bad quarterback.
He's not bad.
Okay.
He just finished his 3rd year. Good God.
Yeah.
Everybody
took him to the playoffs.
They was in the first place in the NFC West for some time, and they lost when he got hurt.
Yeah,
the keyword when he got hurt.
They were calling him, but they said that that he was too short or some shit like that.
Yeah, that was a stigma at first,
because he was in the MVP voting the year before that.
He is short, but that doesn't. But he can still play.
Yeah,
Drew Brees was short.
6 even. Michael Vick was short.
Flutie was short. Yeah. You know how the media is though. They'll find something not to like about you. You know what I'm saying?
They'll find something not to like about a black quarterback. Let me clean it up for you.
That's true.
Easily, it's easier to find that than just to get a man his pride.
Right.
They call Kyler Murray a crybaby too.
I wouldn't call him a crybaby though.
What's crybaby quarterback neither.
Say it again.
I said that. What is Baker Mayfield? Your boy Eli Manning cried before the draft, telling the team not to draft him. So I don't want to hear it.
Hold on now. Don't put Eli and Baker in the same conversation. Ain't even close.
I love it.
Ain't even close. And at least he got something out of crying to go to New York.
So
yeah.
So did what I say not happen?
Was it him crying or was it his dad crying?
It represented him.
But it wasn't him.
In the interview,
you have Chilltown and your man's up here all the time, and I'm loving it, man.
Oh yeah, I love it. Man, they give us a good hit, man. They got to love it.
I love it, man.
You know Eli Manning would not publicly say, I don't want to go to the Chargers.
Bum-ass quarterback. That bum-ass Cowboys.
Hey, so watch your mouth.
We ain't gonna talk about the perennial bums of that other team in New York.
They share that trash bowl together.
Hey man,
they sure do. And then the thing about it, Then they gotta go over there in Jersey to play. That even makes it worse.
Jersey's a beautiful state, man. Beautiful.
You the only person in New York that ever gave Jersey props. Everybody else talk shit about it.
I'm from there. I'm from there. I ain't gonna never
Jersey
talk
got a lot of hood
Yeah.
spots.
Oh, I forgot you from
I'll tell you
Jersey.
that.
Never mind.
Mhm.
I forget. Never mind. I forgot.
A
That's
lot
what
of
chill
hood
talking
spots in
from. I forgot you. You're Jersey devil. I forgot.
I won't talk. Listen, I won't talk bad about a city unless I visit it.
What part of New Jersey you from, Chill?
Jersey City.
Jersey City. Okay.
Let's go.
From the
Part of
hood.
the upstate you from?
I'm from
Tribeca.
Brooklyn.
He from
Brooklyn.
Tribeca.
Oh, he Brooklyn.
And for the record, Eli played his whole career for the Giants, man. He ain't,
Hey.
Hey, good for him, man.
he ain't never complained about his contract. He ain't get in trouble with the law.
You ain't supposed to, Chill.
Yeah, you're not supposed to get in trouble with law.
I'm just saying.
He didn't murder anybody. He didn't rape anybody. He didn't burn anybody's house down.
Didn't gamble.
He didn't rob anybody.
Oh,
gamble
man,
on his own
that's
team.
crazy, man.
He didn't assault his wife.
He never demanded more money.
I mean,
They were gonna
Eli
make sure you
really
take
was a
care of it.
laid back
He didn't
quarterback. He was a laid back quarterback.
Hey.
Played his game.
He didn't drive drunk. He didn't shoot up a mall or anything. I mean, I'm proud of him.
And I'm gonna tell you another reason why he going into the Hall first ballot.
Give it a rest. You already made your point.
I'm adding some more to it. All of these athletes.
It's like you're trying to convince, and I'm about to say, if you believe that, you have a right to believe in what you want to believe in.
I'm predicting the future for you, man. Every post NFL athlete that does some time on the media circuit has a quicker path to the Hall of Fame than everybody else.
I can see that.
Because they're part of the media, so the bias is in their favor.
It ain't gonna be biased though with Eli, man. Come on now.
Come on,
I mean,
Chill,
you like him. He won 2 Super Bowls for your Giants. I get it.
All right, man. Goodness gracious. The man passed for 50,000 yards, man. Come
and
on.
that's wonderful. Kirk Cousins probably gonna be past that by the time it's all said and done.
Kirk Cousins ain't gonna pass for no 50,000 yards. No way.
I mean, he throws for like 4,800 or so every year. I mean, it's possible.
He ain't gonna last.
I think Tony up there, right? Ain't Tony up there in yards?
Kirk Cousins ain't making it to nobody's Super Bowl no time soon.
Hey, I thought the same thing about Matt Stafford too. We see how that turned out.
And who was Cousins the quarterback for?
Huh?
Minnesota.
They ain't going to the Super Bowl.
And Detroit wasn't going to the Super Bowl either, but Matt Stafford got traded to the Lions. Got traded to the Rams. My point is, you never know what can happen.
Well, I always thought Matt Stafford was just in the wrong situation from the get-go.
I never thought Matt Stafford was that good to me. He wasn't.
Me neither.
He was all right.
I thought he was all right. Yeah.
He was in the wrong situation at the wrong time.
He got some bad coaches in Detroit.
True, but when you're somewhere 10 years, that's a long time to say wrong situation, the wrong time. Sometimes you got to make the situation better.
Right, because he had Megatron. I mean, who he had? Megatron.
His first 7 years, he had Calvin Johnson as his primary receiver.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a Hall of Fame receiver.
Didn't he have Charles Rogers too?
Yeah, God rest his soul, but that's nothing to brag about.
Yeah, don't forget the Lions drafted 4 wide receivers 4 straight years. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
They got Roy Williams 1 year, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
But with Stafford got a lot of excuses for losing, and it's good that he went to the Rams, the same team that Jared Goff took to Super Bowl too, except that they ended up winning it this year. But it was mainly he wasn't MVP of it though. He didn't even play that great.
It's the coach, man.
Picks in it. Aaron Donald, the one that secured it, but still they won.
Yeah,
he got dropped into a good situation in LA. He had the perfect storm.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's a prime example. Even when it comes to quarterback, and a lot of times it's what's around you that's going to ultimately make the difference.
Yeah,
and you can put any quarterback in Detroit, and they're still going to lose.
I agree with that.
That same Jared Goff was in the Super Bowl with the Rams a couple years ago in the playoffs with the Rams last year, and then it went 2 and whatever with Detroit this year. He didn't forget how to play football.
Yeah, but that coach went up against the GOAT, man. He ain't beating the GOAT, man. Not beating the GOAT.
We're talking about but they didn't win that. That wasn't because of Brady. That game was 13-10. That was a defensive. That was a defense. Brady didn't have anything to do. I mean, Brady wasn't even like a factor in that game. Edelman won MVP in that game, and it was a defensive game. It was 13-10.
So Edelman won the MVP, right?
Yeah.
Who threw Edelman the ball?
But he didn't have a bunch of catches. My point is somebody had to win MVP. If you look at Brady's numbers in that game, if you only scored 13 points, that's a good defensive output. That's not like Brady was outstanding and beat him in that game. If you look at Brady's numbers from that game, it's Brady. I don't take anything away from him. He deserves all the accolades and the recognition he gets. We're talking about this particular game. Let's not take a whole body of work and put it in one game. And this one particular game, he was not a deciding factor in the game. The deciding factor was the defense.
Right.
The score was 13-10. That speaks for itself.
Yeah, but who was on that Rams defense that year? Do you remember?
Oh, you talking about when they played the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Aaron Donald.
And
right, they held them to 13 points. Is that they couldn't score? Is the Patriots defense shut them down to where they couldn't score more than 13? They couldn't score more than 10.
They had to give that Brady had to throw the ball to somebody, man.
I think they had Peters.
You're missing my, but it don't matter who he threw the ball to. They only put 13 points on the board. The score to that game was 6-3. He didn't even throw any touchdowns in that game. Brady didn't. The score to that game was 6-3 with like 4 minutes left, and they ran a touchdown in late in the game to make it 13-3. Then the Rams scored a garbage time. It was actually 13-6. And then the Rams got like a garbage time field goal to make it 13-6. My point was, it wasn't Brady's dominance in that game. He was marginalized, and you know it. It's okay to praise Brady for his accomplishments, but in this particular game, that doesn't fit the narrative.
And for the
Didn't
record,
Gronk sit out that season, or was he hurt or something?
No,
hold on.
He played.
TH, for the record, Brady can kiss my you know what. You know I'm not a Brady fan. I'll call him.
Now when they
I'm a Brady fan, man. You got to give it to the man is the GOAT.
I ain't give him nothing.
Well, hear me out. When they beat Atlanta, you give Brady credit for that. He fired them back in that game, and when they beat Seattle, they were down 24-14. People always talk about Russell Wilson's pick. They don't talk about the fact that they were that they had a 24-14 lead, and Seattle's defense let them score 14 on that point with 4 minutes left.
Right.
Brady led them back in that game. Those again, when they beat Carolina, Brady led the game-winning drive. When they those were where he put it on his back and made it happen. In that particular game, he was not really a factor.
So why didn't Vinatieri win any of those MVPs?
Because he's a kicker.
He should have.
Yeah.
I disagree. Your kicker only has one job, and that's to make a kick.
But he came in clutch, though.
A few times.
That's what he's supposed to do.
Actually. 3 times, actually.
Yeah.
Well, he hit the actual game winner in 2 of them. Against Philadelphia, it was a 24-14 lead, and Philadelphia scored a late touchdown to cut it 24-21. Against Carolina, he hit the game-winning field goal. Against the Rams, he hit the game-winning field goal.
Mm-hmm.
He was valuable. He did.
He won a Super Bowl with the Colts, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame kicker because if he and Jason Elam will be 2 kickers that actually get in the Hall.
Jason Elam, I think.
What about Morton Anderson?
I think Morton's in, ain't he?
I think he is. I think he's already in there.
Janikowski should get into.
Oh, for sure.
His drunk ass, you think they're going to let him in?
He ain't the first drunk to be in an Hall of Fame either.
Facts.
Nah, but if they made Chris Carter wait because of substance issues, I mean, we know not everybody go by the same rules.
It's like you say, you already know what that is. You already know what that is. Yep.
I call a spade, fellas. I'm not here to be cute.
Yeah.
And I give factual examples when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not just spewing stuff out when it comes to the difference between how certain people are treated.
Yeah,
Right.
for the record, Brady shouldn't have won that MVP against the Rams because he didn't even throw a touchdown, he threw an interception.
Yep.
Edelman just had the best stats.
That's just like when what's his name? Pete Carroll didn't want to get a ball to Marshawn.
I just talked about it. Let me go back to that. The part that people leave out about that, I never had a problem with that play call. It's a slant in the end zone. It's a common play that's done in the red zone. I mean, there's nothing out of ordinary. Malcolm Butler read it, he jumped on it, and he picked it. That happens. I'm about to say, and what people don't, and people want to blame Russell and the coach for it. What about the part where you were up 24-14 with under 4 minutes left?
That is true though, but at the same time though, they had the chance to punch it in and just
right. The point I'm making is if your defense would have done what they were supposed to do, you wouldn't even been in that position. And
wasn't that play run on second down?
And blame the offense, and blame Russell and them for that when they were the ones that blew the commanding lead. They had a 2-score lead with under 6 minutes left. They let them march down that quickly and score twice to take a 28-24 lead. They're the ones that put their offense in that position when they didn't have to be there. Do they want to blame them?
But check this out though. Didn't they run that play on second down?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you run the ball on second down and then throw the slant on the third down?
Right.
What difference does it make if you get stuffed on first down?
It's the
I don't think they
obvious.
would have stopped Marshawn. I don't think so. I don't think they
Marshawn
would.
We don't
Stop
know.
killing it,
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is when a play does. Of course, you're going to say a play is bad when it doesn't work. So, for example, let's say when the Saints went for that onside kick against the Colts in the third quarter, ordinarily that's considered a dumb, not smart call. If that doesn't work, everyone's going to say, "What were they doing?" But since it worked, everyone said it was brilliant. So back to this. Let's say if you run the ball and you get stuffed, and then everyone will say, "Everybody knew that you were going to Marshawn Lynch or whatever. You should have done something different to mix it up."
I mean, I get what you're saying, but me personally, I just look at it from a totally different perspective. They did not want Marshawn the way he carried himself to be no MVP of that game.
I don't. And that moment in the game with everything moving as fast as it is, everything online. Do you really think Pete Carroll was sitting there like, "I got to come up with a way to win this game without Marshawn being MVP"?
You never know. You never know what they thinking, bro. You don't know what's in their thought process at that time. You never know.
If Pete Carroll wins the second Super Bowl, he could probably even demand another contract and even get more money for himself.
I mean, that is true though. But
I really don't think that somebody was going to sit there and cost himself his own legacy, worried about a running back getting MVP or not.
I'll say this. I don't think he didn't want Marshawn to be the MVP, not him per se. He made one of the dumbest play calls.
Right.
What? Okay, if Malcolm Jenkins doesn't cut that and intercept it, Malcolm Butler doesn't cut that and intercept it, is it still dumb?
I at least would have ran on that second down. Would have at least.
What if they're going to run on third down?
I mean,
you can run any play on third down. You probably wouldn't have to.
You can run any play on second down. It's only dumb because he's doing it.
But TH, listen, based on Marshawn's performance during that game, he was averaging easily 3.5 to 4 yards of carry in that Super Bowl.
Easy.
The odds were on you to hand him the ball, and all he had to do was get 2 yards. And you throw a quick slant across the middle.
People throw slants in the end zone
on second down when you got an extra. You pretty much got another play in the bag if Marshawn don't get those 2 yards.
Right. You're not expecting to get intercepted either. You think if it's an incomplete, the clock stops and you can still run it.
Obviously, but you go with a higher percentage play.
Typically, a slant sprint isn't a low percentage play. That's
not in the end zone. Not in the end zone. Your players are bunched up in the end zone. There's no There's not a lot of room for a mistake there.
Typically, a receiver can box out the DB on that play, though.
You can either a quick out or a corner, pretty much a quick out or a corner route. Most times that like a fade, almost. I would say
it's 2nd and 2. You run it. I'm just thinking. Now it's hypothetical, right? It's 2nd and 2. You try to run, you get 1.5 yards or a yard. Now you can run a slant. You can run a post corner. You can run whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You live and die on that third down, or you go with your horse that's been running people over the whole damn game.
Man,
give them a chance to put the ball in the end zone.
Plowing out there, man.
But like you're right, TH. This is all speculative, right? This is like shoulda, woulda, coulda. He could have been.
Yeah, the only reason we're having discussion because it didn't work.
Correct. You're right.
Like, and nobody addressed what I said before. When the Saints went for an onside kick and the opening kickoff for the third quarter, ordinarily is that considered smart or high percentage? Yes or no?
There's tons of and I agree with you there. And I'll give you another example. When Eli threw the ball down the middle of the field with David Tyree, nobody saw what Eli saw.
Right.
He didn't see it either.
When he caught it. Yeah. Even the deep post with Manningham, only he saw the route that he was running.
We shouldn't have been in that situation anyway. That should have been an interception that second down anyway.
Exactly.
This has been
but let's say, but Nick, since that should have been an interception, if an interception was made, then someone said, why would Eli throw that?
Like I said,
that's true. No, well, now I'm talking about that play, but the play before Asante Samuel dropped the wide.
Oh yeah. But that's what happens. Like if he would have picked that
my
game
point
over.
is that's a part of the game. Sometimes guys make plays, sometimes guys don't. Malcolm Butler made a play, they lost the game in the discussion.
I ain't talking, but see, this is the difference. I'm not talking about first. I'm talking about the throw, right? I'm not talking about the play call. I'm talking about the play call.
That throw was clutch, bro. Hey,
Eli saw something. That play was already called. It's what Eli. It's what Eli saw.
Yeah.
Carroll already called that play. Carroll called that whatever play it was to the quick slant.
Mm-hmm. He just needed what he did.
Russell Wilson saw what he saw.
Right.
Yeah.
Butler saw
The
before he
receiver,
did.
the receiver did something that typically a receiver typically doesn't let a corner outbody him. He let the corner outbody him and beat him to position.
That's a fact.
When he should have been able to box him out.
That's a fact.
That was like a bump and run, wasn't it?
Right.
Like,
He beat him to that spot. He beat him to that spot.
My point is, if the receiver, Baldwin, whoever he was throwing to, Cursor, whoever it was, if he would have done his job and boxed that corner out and not got boxed out by it, if not let that corner outwork him, that's a touchdown.
Yeah. Butler beat him to that spot.
He didn't beat him. He wrestled to him. He didn't actually run in front of it. He actually boxed him out and beat him to it.
Yeah.
Did he even get his hands on that ball?
He wrestled it's like if you watch the highlight of it, he let the corner wrestle him to that ball and move him off the spot and a receiver
exactly what he did. He moved him out of position. That's exactly what happened. Yep.
You could also call that pass interference or defensive hold.
You can't
That's a bang bang play right there.
It could have went both ways. I mean, they could have called it if they wanted to.
Right. So my point is, we're just looking at the result, but we're just looking at the result. And since the result wasn't what we thought the result should have been, then we're just going to throw it all out. Like I said, if that's the case, if Indianapolis would have recovered an onside kick at the beginning of the third quarter, we'd be calling Sean Payton stupid too. But instead, we call him a gutsy genius.
Yeah, I mean they made calls for a reason. I'm just going off my
plays
thoughts.
Work and plays don't work. When they work, you're a genius. When they don't work, you're an idiot.
I'm just saying this on second down.
Fourth down.
On second down, I'll be going for a low risk, high reward. Carroll went for the high risk, high reward, and you paid.
It's like that's also what Sean Payton did, but it worked for him. My point is, when you decide to go for it on fourth down, there's certain things that you do that if it works, you're a genius, and if it doesn't work, you're not. You either make the play or you don't. They didn't make the play.
You live or die for that play.
Yeah, it's the way it is. They didn't have any business in it. If the defense would have done their job, they've never been in that situation from the start, blowing a 2-touchdown lead with 5 minutes left.
And I don't care. Marshawn getting in the hall anyway, so I ain't tripping.
Oh yeah, he'd be in there.
Did he play long enough?
Oh, he get in, bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You look at his career at Buffalo. What did he do in Buffalo before he got to Seattle? Because his Buffalo career, he was in Seattle about five good years in Seattle. You're basically with Marshawn. You're basically talking about a 4-year run.
Didn't they have whatchamacallit playing in Buffalo with him? Shady?
They weren't.
They had McGahee.
Okay.
He basically took McGahee's job though when they drafted him out of California.
Yeah.
If Marshawn's Hall of Famer, it's because of the character. Like I'm talking about when I say the character, like the funny guy that I'm not here to get fined, the Skittles phenomena, that kind of stuff, the personality. Because if you look at the total body of work, you're talking about a 40. Because after they won the Super Bowl, he wasn't really. You could say he had about one more decent year after that. And after that, he was off injured, wasn't playing a whole lot. Then he retired. He retired relatively young. Then he came back, played for the Raiders. Besides about a 3-year run in Seattle, his Buffalo career was okay. With the Raiders, he was washed. Besides, you could say that Super Bowl maybe a couple more years. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer or not.
I think after that Super Bowl where he didn't get the ball, I think he kind of looked at it differently.
He's got more yards than Eddie George. I can tell you that.
Well, Eddie George ain't in the Hall and don't deserve to be.
Okay, I get that piece, but I'm just going to give you his stats, okay? 10,413 yards, 85 touchdowns, 149 games played. With the Super Bowl ring, he's getting in.
What's his yards per carry?
Yards per carry, 4.2.
That's solid. That's solid yards per carry. That's a good running back who had a good career. There are a lot of other backs ahead of him that got more than 10,000 yards.
And he got a chip.
He got a championship. All 53 men get a ring.
His numbers are similar to Jerome Bettis's.
Okay.
And Jerome Bettis' ballot.
All right, so if Eddie would have won that bowl against
he's in
the Rams.
Right?
No, I don't. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame because if Kevin Dyson running an extra yard shouldn't be the difference of whether Eddie George is a Hall of Famer or not. If he's a Hall of Famer, he's a Hall of Famer. If he's not, he's not. Because Kevin Dyson couldn't stretch an extra yard, that shouldn't have any determination on what Eddie George is.
I'm just saying, winning a Super Bowl, it gives you a little extra push to get into the Hall of Fame.
For a quarterback, I don't think it does for a running back.
If he contributed in that Super Bowl and he wins the Super Bowl,
right,
you get in.
Yeah.
But that bothers me how the score of one game supersedes a whole body of work. Because my point is, if that one Super Bowl is the difference, then he should be a Hall of Famer anyway. Because you're already saying that he's already played at Hall of Fame level. So if he's already played at the Hall of
Let me
Fame
give you a
level,
comparison.
then he should be one anyway. If he hasn't played at Hall of Fame level, the result of one game doesn't change that.
I get that, but let me give you this. Jerome Bettis won 1 Super Bowl in Pittsburgh.
When he was washed up, yeah. He was going to make the Hall anyway.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because he was in the media too. Now, Eddie George has over 10,000 yards. No Super Bowl.
Yeah, look at his yards per carry too.
And Jerome Bettis has over 10,000 yards and a Super Bowl.
But you went back to contributing to the Super Bowl. Jerome Bettis wasn't even a starter anywhere close to a starter on that Super Bowl team. He was along for the ride. He was a bus rider.
Did Jerome Bettis score a touchdown in that Super Bowl?
He may have.
Yes, he did.
Yes,
he did.
Yeah, if you're at the 1 yard line and someone hey ball, you score a touchdown. It's not like you broke a 38-yard touchdown run.
In the last season of his career, that's where all his touchdowns came from the 1 yard line.
Yeah, because that's how they use it. That's to make him look valuable when who's the other back? Not Amy Zero.
Morris. Willie Parker was the back.
Right. I about to say Willie Parker was the one doing the work.
Yeah, Willie Parker was the starter that year.
And doing the work. He went for 1,100 yards a year. Former North Carolina Tar Heel.
Jerome was already in the Hall prior to that Super Bowl, to be honest.
Right. So that you can't make the argument that Super Bowl propelled him there. He was going to make it anyway.
But that was his last season.
And he was his last season. That's what I'm saying. He was just along for the. That's just like saying that's the equivalent of saying that Gary Payton is in the Hall of Fame because of that championship he won in Miami.
No, that's definitely not the case.
It's the same comparison. Gary Payton was the backup point guard. He actually hit the game-winning shot in Game 3 that cut it to 2-1 when they would have gone down 3-0. Against Dallas, they were down 2-0. They were down. He was the one down the stretch that made the go-ahead shot to cut the series to 2-1. They went on to win it 4-2. Had he not made that shot, they'd have been down 3-0. And he played backup minutes. And my point was Gary Payton would have been a basketball Hall of Famer anyway. But that was on his ride out at the backup point. He was the backup point guard in Miami, just like Jerome Bettis was the backup running back in Pittsburgh.
Is Jerome Bettis in your top 10 running backs all the time?
Let me run off 10 running backs. Give me a second. Let's see. Jim Brown, O.J. Simpson, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Marshall Faulk, Thurman Thomas. That's 6. Let's see what I can roll off.
You say Doug P?
Yeah, or Adrian Peterson, since we're at it. That's 7. You might get me. How many I got named? 10? Let's see. So it's Adrian Peterson. I went to I'll put Chris Martin ahead of him. So that's 8. I'm trying to think of one of those.
Did you say Barry Sanders?
I'm not. You could argue Marcus Allen, but I'm not a big Marcus Allen guy.
Did you say Barry Sanders?
Yeah, I already said Barry Sanders.
Okay.
You said Walter Payton?
Oh, I forgot. Thank you, Walter Payton. So that's 9. So let's put him at 10.
Tomlinson?
Huh?
LaDainian Tomlinson?
I'll put him. That's 10. I already named 10 without naming Bettis.
Okay. So Marshawn
you put LaDainian over Jerome?
LaDainian was a great running back and pass catcher. He was one of them thousand like 100 catches and 1,000-yard running back.
Okay.
I mean, that's your opinion. I mean,
that's not my opinion. What he did.
No, I'm saying who you picking. That's your opinion. Yeah.
But as far as LaDainian was a guy who caught 100 balls one season. That means so he's effective in the passing game and the running game.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point.
In the same vein as Marshall Faulk, that 1,000 rushing yards and 800 receiving yards type guy.
Yeah, kind of like an Edgerrin James type of running back.
Well, Adrian James is a pure runner.
He was a pure runner.
He cut out the backfield too, though.
Marshall Faulks,
yeah, Edge caught some passes too. He caught. I think he might have caught 1,000-yard receiving season too.
Yeah.
But he did have Peyton.
But you still got to make plays.
True that. I'm putting Jerome in my top 10.
That's for sure. Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite. But outside of Barry and Walter Payton, he's in my top 5.
I wouldn't say top 5 though. I'd say
that's my top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
That's my top.
I mean, he was a great running back. I give him that.
I liked him more for what he did, like his early Rams and his early Steelers career.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too.
So my point is, if Pittsburgh lost that game to Seattle that year, he still was deserving because he already had established himself as Hall of Fame. Because there was nothing that he did in that last year that will put you in the Hall of Fame if he wasn't in it.
Nah, yeah, he was just riding Ben Roethlisberger's. And that defense is
let's say they were all riding. Let's say they were all riding that defense.
Yeah, because Polamalu and Harrison and they was all on that damn team.
That Dick LeBeau defense.
Yeah, they were all riding that defense.
Didn't he have Santonio?
Not that year. Santonio was in the one they won in 08.
I think he was in New York by that time. I think he was a Jet by then.
No, he wasn't a Jet by then. He was on the one they won in 08. Santonio Holmes was the MVP of the 08, the one they won against the Cardinals.
Where did Santonio Holmes go after the Steelers?
Jets, like you said.
He did go to the Jets. I forgot about that.
Yeah, him and what was his name?
Braylon Edwards.
No, I'm talking about the quarterback.
Mark Sanchez?
Was it Chad or Mark Sanchez?
Sanchez played with the Jets.
Yeah, did he play with Santonio?
I think Pennington had already been ended up then by the time I think it was Sanchez.
I don't know. They went to, I think Santonio was there because they went to the 09 and 2010 AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Wasn't that
and I think they won the division both them years too.
No, they didn't. They were a wild card. One of them years, I know they were wild. They were wild card both of them years.
They won
one of the years they went 9-7, and the second year they went 11-5. New England won the division because New England blew them out 45-3 that last game, but then they beat New England in the playoff game.
That was the butt year.
And that's when Bart Scott did the "can't wait" thing after the game was over.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's crazy.
I saw it live. That's how I remember.
I had to think. I was like, I thought they had won the division one of them years. I know the Dolphins won one of them years.
Man, the last time the Jets won the division was with Chad Pennington, like in 2002. They went 9-7 that year, and they beat Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts 41-0 in the wild card round, and then they lost to the Raiders 30-10 the next round.
Chad Pennington.
I didn't have to Google that. I just remember it when it happened.
Pride of Marshall. The Pride of Marshall.
Mm-hmm. He played with Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Sure did. Well, fellas, we're at the 2 hour and 36-minute mark. We're about to shut this sucker down. I'm gonna give everybody the flow. Let's start with Chill Time.
Ooh-wee. Man, this was a good stream, man. I'm glad I came up here, man. It's always a good conversation. Good.
Hey, man, y'all should do this every week. This is
nice. I try to make it up here, man. And when I do, man, we always have some good discussions. So I appreciate you, CCP. TH, always my boy, man.
Yes, sir.
I forgot my man's name. I can't see his name.
Darren.
I think he fell out.
Yeah, he's always good too, man. I appreciate the time up here. You too, pal. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
No, man. All up.
Subscribe to channel Chill Time if you haven't already. I don't know where you been if you ain't subscribed to me yet.
Hey, put it in the chat, baby.
Yeah, go look them up. Get them.
Don't flag
me. Sit your big ass down and drink your water.
Mind your business.
Pale.
What's happening? All right, man. I love the sports talk, man. I live for it. I'm happy, man. You just had your folks up here, man, to talk the actuals and the factuals, man. Appreciate y'all, man.
Oh yeah. TH.
Hey, I don't see myself. Okay, there we go. Hey, again, it was a great, intense discussion. We talked about the comfortable things and the uncomfortable things. We had an intense debate, and it's a reminder, people, it's okay for people to disagree and debate and still walk away from it with love and respect. I think that's what I like about the platform the most, that we can share passionate opinions all while we're maintaining the respect for each other. I think that's something that we need more of. We need more of it in Washington, D.C. We need more of it even in our churches, in our work environment, just in general. This is a prime example of debate while maintaining respect. And again, it was wonderful being here. Can't wait to see the playback.
Yes, sir. And man, shout out to everybody that came through tonight, man. Like I said, appreciate your pay, appreciate your Chill Time. Man, y'all more than welcome to come up here anytime y'all get ready. If you see us on and y'all want to come up, just let me know. Y'all good.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, we up out of here. Appreciate everybody for coming through tonight, and we'll catch y'all next week.